Well. Welcome everybody to another Boxing Podcast, broadcasting to you live from the true north. Hey, it's your good host, Mr. PDA, and I'm glad everybody could be on board for this one, fellas. Thank you for joining us. We've got a special episode here. We're going to be looking ahead at 2023. As 2022 winds down, we're going to be making predictions about what the next year holds for us. Good things, bad things, crazy things, whatever. We're going to speculate. We're going to take out our crystal balls. we're gonna pull out our balls. That's what we're gonna do, and we're gonna find out what's gonna happen in 2023. And it's gonna be a good show because we're gonna be opening up the phone lines so you guys can join in, give us your predictions as well. And we have a good panel here of people who have a fantastic track record of making predictions. So it's gonna be fantastic. Before we get down to that, fellas, don't forget you can donate via the super chat feature. Wire a couple of shekels our way, or you can join the PDA membership program, which is better because that way you get more bang for your buck. We also have a Patreon page. Shout out to all of our Patreon subscribers. Somebody sent us a message on Patreon. I forgot to reply, but shout out to you, man. I'm glad you enjoyed the Who Will Shine and Who Will Drop episode, that was the last one we did. And don't forget, you can check us out on Spotify, iTunes, and Spreaker at your leisure. All right, fellas? Let's give a big old shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm talking about Tony Cashman, Fluffy Toasters 89, Carl in the house, the Aussie Hunter, Some Rando, What About Me, Bacon and Eggs, Iceman, Omar E in the house. Shout out to Omar E. Hope everything's well with you, man. The Joe Show. Shout out to Joe. Is that Jake the Moss? I don't know who that is. Plutonium Loach, Some Rando, Alejandro Solis, SSC in the house as well. Bacon and Eggs, and many more people to come. I'm sure. Fellas, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. All right. Well, we're nearing the end of 2022, as I said, and now we look back. We look ahead for 2023. Gonzalo, thank you for being on as always, man. Always good to have you on board, talking boxing with you. I'm sharing my screen with you. Hopefully you can see it, and I've got Caleb Plant on the screen. Now, let me tell you why I got him up. Because he recently gave an interview on Fight Hub, and he said the Benavidez fight is definitely happening in 2023. It's going to happen. And he said, don't be surprised if I knock Benavidez out. He said, if Ronald Gabriel can drop him, imagine what I can do. Gonzalo, going into 2023, it seems like Caleb Plant is full of confidence because of the knockout. What is it about knocking somebody out cold that fills you up with confidence?
Just I suppose it's just the newfound power. I mean, it just feels different than getting the decisions.
But it's interesting because I'm used to knocking motherfuckers out. Yeah, it's no skin off my back. It's just it happens. I don't even work on the power. It's just natural talent that I have. I know you're the same way too. You've knocked out motherfuckers before, but Caleb Plant's a guy that. He wasn't laying people out cold. I mean, early on in his career, he did get himself some good knockouts, but they were, I guess, nobody's. Then he became a guy like he couldn't even stop Caleb Truax. And again, I understand Caleb Truax is a veteran, but if Durrell could stop him and if Daniel Jacobs could stop him, you would have expected Caleb Plant to have stopped him if he was a good puncher. But it seems to me, you tell me what you think. Now that he's working with Breadman, he's making it because he always had a good left hook. He dropped Usyk twice, I believe, with left hooks. I know he knocked him at least once with a good left hook. So do you think it was just a question of him not sitting down on his punches enough, not having enough, balls to do it?
Yeah, I think so. I mentioned it when he dropped Dog Durrell. When he went downstairs, obviously, he bent his knees to get his body down to attack the body. So obviously he had to push his weight. He had to press his weight down. Basically, his legs had to the bottom of his feet had to completely press it down on the canvas. So when he pushed up, all that body weight that went down like an elevator that goes down, all that weight goes up. He brought it up, and he threw all that torque into the left hook upstairs. So basically, that's a good way of you telling that he got his body underneath his punch as he drove his body up. So yeah, man, it's just the dude's 168 pounder, and when you commit to punching instead of being on the tip of your toes, it's different. And now that he's understood that he can punch, he's going to be more confident, thinking that he can do it again. And plus the knockouts that he's already gone early against Usyk and some other fighters, the dude can crack. He just got to commit to his punches.
You know, it's interesting. If you would have asked me, hey, BDA, do you think Caleb Plant could get any more confident? I was like, fuck no, this guy already thinks he's the king of the world. Now, though, that he got that knockout, and I got, you know, you got to put it into perspective. He was a 40-year-old Terrell, but it was still something that Caleb Plant wasn't doing against the against the best opposition he'd been facing. But he does have good. How would you characterize his power, Gonzalo?
I think he's explosive early. I think he's explosive early. It's not necessarily. I don't think he's heavy-handed, but he's got power early. Because I mean, he's a strong dude. It's a little better than Demetrius Andrade, because Andrade gets knockdowns early as well. Mm-hmm. I think he's explosive too, and hits a little bit harder than Demetrius Andrade. But as the fight starts going, the rounds, he starts getting tired, and he doesn't necessarily want to put everything into a shot, because he doesn't want to be exposed to getting countered back. So, I mean, he could probably pop in spurts. That's just the thing, man. I don't necessarily think he's a power puncher, but if he decided to commit to a punch, he could punch.
Well, there you go, man. I think you're onto something there, Guns. I definitely think he's got good power, and I think it's a good comparison that you brought up there with what's his name, Andrade or Andrade. He doesn't like to be called Andrade because he does have good power, but it's like you said, he just doesn't carry it late into the fight. Whereas Caleb Plant against Durrell at least showed us that he could still crack up after the 6th round, and that's something you don't see with Andrade. Now, what else was I going to bring up here? I'm trying to move something up here. But, yeah, okay, so what do you expect from Caleb Plant in 2023? Because he's with the PBC, so you got to assume he's only going to be fighting once or twice. You think he's going to walk out of that Benavidez? You think he's going to walk out of 2023 with a loss?
I don't know, man. I see that fight against David Benavidez like a 50-50 fight. I don't see David Benavidez the favorite.
Really?
That could go either way. Yeah, because Benavidez and his dad have talked a lot. Now, like, the burden is probably on their shoulders. Caleb Plant's coming off a loss. Yeah, he has to kind of revindicate himself. But, I mean, after you've done talking so much, man, now you got to back it up if you're David Benavidez. So I think he's got a lot of pressure as well. Because now he understands that maybe this dude isn't a cakewalk like he previously thought before. Mm-hmm. And this will definitely be David Benavidez' best opponent as like prime for prime. Because Lemieux was a smaller dude. Yeah, he can crack, but this dude got good legs. And when he decides to commit to the punches and then let's see Benavidez start throwing a 12 punch combination, for example, this guy's going to zap him in between his punches. And David Benavidez better be careful, because if he assumes that this guy don't crack and this is going to start unwailing away on Caleb Plant, he could find himself in the canvas like he did against Ronald Gabriel. So he's got to be careful.
I hear everything you're saying, man. That's very good points. The thing is, and I think that this is the X factor. Benavidez has very good defense, man. He's got underrated defense. He's got a good guard. He's got good reflexes. So he can lean back from just when you think he's there and you're at least going to hit the guard. Whoops, he leans back and makes you miss. I don't know, man. Like, I know Caleb Plant's improving under Breadman, but he struggled against Usyk, man. That was not an easy fight. In fact, his face was all busted up afterwards, even though he won. So I think Benavidez is just going to pop. Have you seen that little right hand that Benavidez throws? Remember Felix Trinidad used to do that, where he just pops the right hand like a jab. Not even really a power punch, just boom, zaps you. And it makes guys start looking for it. Like, holy shit, when's that going to come? It keeps popping me. It keeps annoying me. And then when they're watching out for it, boom, out comes the left hook. You know which right hand I'm talking about, Gonzalo?
I think so.
That it's a weapon that Benavidez uses a lot, and I think he's gonna be zapping Caleb Plant throughout the fight with that, and it's just gonna bust him up, and it's gonna make Plant not see the bigger artillery that's gonna come his way. I don't see Caleb Plant winning, man. But I mean, I could see how he could win, but I don't see him doing the things that he needs to win. You know what I mean? Anyway, we'll talk more about that fight as it goes along. But it's interesting. You think Caleb Plant actually has a better shot than most people think? That's very interesting, right there.
Yeah, I think David Benavidez's power is a little overrated. I mean, who's the guy that he fought just recently that was like a 154 pounder? He couldn't knock him out. He stopped him, but he couldn't get him off his feet.
Oh,
I think he punches hard. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll bring up the name later.
Yeah. He's got a lot of weight behind his punches because he rehydrates probably to like around 200 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So he can hit hard, but it's not like a one punch knock you out type of power. So he can certainly like hit you with punches that got the weight behind his shots, but he's not gonna like knock you out. So you can expect for his opponent to think, okay, this guy's gonna hit me, and it might jar me. It's like it might buzz me, but you could expect the opponent to expect like many punches. So when you understand that he's not gonna knock you out with one punch, I think what Caleb Plant's gonna do is he's gonna try to catch him with one punch in between David Benavidez's flurries. So if he can sit there and trade with David Benavidez, expect Caleb Plant to have some success. And get on his bike for a little bit too. It's not just because he can punch now, all of a sudden that he's going to become a stationary target. Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying is that he can win some exchanges and actually get the credit as the guy that punches in between his punches with the crisper shots. Because David Benavidez doesn't necessarily hit that hard. He couldn't get that 154 pounder. I forgot his name. Starts with an R, but anyways.
Kyron Davis. I think that's
Kyron Davis. Oh yeah. Okay.
But you know what, Gonzalo, you bring up an excellent point about the power, and I heard you say that in another show too, on What Rep It's Which. You know, people look at his record and they go, wow, 23 knockouts or 26 victories, he must be a big puncher, and he hits hard. But like you said, it's not, I mean, put it this way, has he ever gotten himself that type of flash knockdowns that Caleb Plant has? No. And yet Caleb Plant is not known as a puncher, but I don't remember David Benavidez knocking out a motherfucker, a top-level motherfucker, the way Caleb Plant did against Durrell or even against there was some tomato can he fought early in his career, or the way he dropped Usyk twice with those type of flash knockdowns. That speed, and Benavidez, like you said, he's just a guy that's going to grind you down, and I certainly wouldn't want to be in the ring with him because he'll brutalize you in the long run. But you're right, that punching power thing, it's Benavidez is not going to take him out with one shot. He's going to have to grind him down, and if he can't connect enough throughout the fight, then that's going to be a problem. That's a very good way of putting it there, Gonzalo. I will say, though, that with your game plan, it makes sense about Caleb Plant catching him in between the shots. But like I said, Benavidez has very good reflexes. But I could see what you're saying happen because of one factor, the hand speed. Yes, Kyron Davis and what was the name? Ronald Ellis, who's a Canelo sparring partner. Big dude. You could tell he's got a little bit of Canelo in him. That guy also took Benavidez into deep waters, and Benavidez never dropped those guys. But those guys have hand speed, but Caleb Plant's on another level compared to those guys in terms of hand speed. So you're right, man. There's a lot of X factors in there going to this fight, and we'll talk about it more as the fight approaches. Anything else you want to say about Caleb Plant?
Looking forward to that fight for both guys.
So am I, man. And they said that the fight was going to be happening early 2023. Now they still haven't even... Like Caleb Plant in that interview said, oh yeah, it's definitely going to happen. And I thought, well, wait a minute. I thought it was already said on paper that it was going to happen. So classic PBC, they still haven't figured out a date, a venue, whatever. But all parties involved in that shit organization are saying that it's going to happen. So we'll see, man. Hopefully it does materialize. And like you said, man, I'm looking forward to it. All right. A super chat here. Hold on a second. Shout out to Plutonium Loach. I'm scared to read his comment. For his contribution with the super chat, he says, people are overhyping Chichon Benavidez. Chichon Benavidez. He reminds me of a combination of Margarito and a Chavez Jr. Flat-footed, leaves himself open, but with a lot of volume punches, and his pops como chinga el güey. I mean, well, shout out to Plutonium Los for his contribution. Gonzalo, what do you think about Plutonium just said?
But he reminds me of a combination of Margarito and Chavez.
Yeah. Well, that's what he's.
I don't know, man. Margarito throws a lot of punches, but I mean, freaking Benavidez is smooth with the combinations. He just lets his hands go. And I like the way he put his punches together against El Porky Medina. I wish I could see more of that from Benavidez. And he probably can because he doesn't have like a lot of muscle. He's just like a fat dude. So his arms are pretty like loose, like loosey goosey, ready to punch. You know, it's nothing's tying him down. So a boxer's never is a total different animal from a fucking weightlifter. You would think that the weightlifter is like the more powerful dude. Yeah, when it comes to weightlifting and like from a visual perspective, you would say, oh man, that dude could kick the other guy's ass. But you know, Benavidez being like big, a boxer, and like you could think whatever of he's like, you know, he's a fat kid. He looks unremarkable. Hey man, that dude can let his hands go. Mm-hmm. So not necessarily like Margarito or Chavez. She's just different.
It's interesting.
I like his style too.
Yeah, it's interesting how he's been. Look, he's certainly been showing a great arsenal against lower level opposition, and he's must-see TV. He actually goes out there and tries to take these guys out, which I can appreciate it as a customer and as a boxing fan. In regards to how far he can go, we'll see, man. That Caleb Plant is the test that we all wanted to see, and it should have happened in 2022. But according to the rumors and according to what the fighters are saying, it is going to happen, and we'll see if David Benavidez is indeed the goods. I think, you know, I'm giving you my early prediction. I think he is going to bust Caleb Plant up. But Caleb Plant has, like Gonzalo said, he's got the talent and he's got a good trainer to put together a good game plan and maybe pull off a surprise. Listen, don't underestimate a guy who's got quick hands and is full of confidence now because he knows he can hurt guys. And that the Canelo fight now is a distant memory for him. So we'll see what happened. We'll see what happens, with that. So there's David Benavidez. So, okay, I asked you about Caleb Plant. Let's move on quickly then from Benavidez because he's tied up with it. You said you wouldn't be surprised if Benavidez loses, but if you had to make a prediction right now, do you think Benavidez walks out of 2023 with a win or with one loss? At least a loss.
That's a 50-50 fight, but I'd probably still favor Benavidez. One more thing about Benavidez' style, it's unique. Mm-hmm. Because he never really had a lot of amateur fights. So his style was crafted basically through sparring.
Yeah, that's
not point. Through fighting as an amateur. And him being like a little fucking fat kid, like 300 pounds or 270, I don't know what, 250. He cut down at the same time as he was growing taller. And he just figured it out in the gym. That's why his style's so unique. The pattern doesn't feel like, okay, I got used to fighting as amateur, like pop shotting and scoring blows on the points, and it's just different.
That's right.
You could say it's kind of like an amateur, but it's in between an amateur and a professional style. He throws a lot of shots.
He's definitely got that Mexican thing going for him in that, like you said, he spent the majority of his education sparring and not necessarily worrying about winning amateur titles. And so once he transitioned to a professional, he didn't have to worry about that. Oh, well, now I got to transition to the pros. I got to learn how to fight on the inside. I got to learn how to sit down on my punch. Now he's just doing what he's always been doing in sparring. So it's going to be interesting. Now, before we move on from Benavidez.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, BD. One more thing. You know, when you're fat, you're probably the trainer, like in anywhere, and whether it's boxing or anywhere else, they'll probably just tell you, hey, just go ahead and move.
Right.
So in boxing, they probably told him, just let your hands go, so you can lose weight. And he really learned how to let his hands go.
Yeah.
Just let his hands go. Then you burn calories. Now, when you got the headgear, you're not going to knock a dude out necessarily with one punch. So in the gym, they probably teach you, just let your hand go and hit the headgear, you know, attack. And that's basically his style inside of the ring. Just let his hands go. He lets his hands go.
We will see what happens. Now, I wanted to ask you, though, before we move on from Benavidez, do you think he gets the Canelo fight in 2023?
Probably not, because I think that Canelo's going to fight John Ryder in May. If he comes back in May, I believe he will, because he's not going to want to let that date go and give the shine or to. I mean, the sun is supposed to come out for everybody, but
right.
Nah, if he leaves that date open, somebody's going to try to take that date over, and I think Canelo is a little bit like he doesn't want to allow that to happen. And in the second part of the year, I think Canelo will take the Bivol rematch, possibly at a catchweight, around 168 or like 170 for his titles against Dimitri Bivol.
Yeah, I don't think it happens.
So being that Canelo fights 2 times a year, I don't think it happens.
I agree with you. I don't think it happens. I think Canelo's going to get a lot of shit for that, which he should, because I mean, what's he going to do? If he says by the way, they're talking about John Ryder. He says he's not even thinking about John Ryder right now. He doesn't even know who he's going to fight. He said he's just nursing his injury. He's waiting for it to rehabilitate, and then in a couple of months he'll decide who he wants to fight next. So for the moment, I don't know what's going to happen with Canelo, man. But I don't think the Benavidez fight happens. And so with Benavidez, I guess it's going to be Caleb Plant. And then probably he's going to fight a nobody. And that's going to be the year for him. But hopefully it's not. Hopefully he continues the momentum. If he beats Caleb Plant, hopefully he continues the momentum and fights somebody else that's adequate or even a good opponent. Because we all want to see a Plant who's must-see TV fight the best. And by the way, fucking Impala in the chat says, Benavidez le saca los pedos al Plant. Come on. I guess he's expecting a lot of body shots. I guess that's what he means there. All right. And by the way, the fellas, don't forget.
You know, para there's no catchweight, Gonzalo. Yeah.
What's that?
Para was mentioning here in the chat, he was like, no catchweight, Gonzalo, and no catchweight. But he actually, I heard Bivol he's saying, okay, I will cut down to 68 to challenge for Canelo's titles. Now, if Canelo agrees to fight it, and for he fights at 68, but if he makes it, like for example, at 170, that's an advantage to Dimitri Bivol. That's basically saying, okay, we're fighting for my titles, but I'm going to give you a 2-pound advantage now that you're a 75-pounder dropping to 70. So it's actually a catchweight and benefit of Dimitri Bivol because it's for Canelo's title. So Canelo, yeah, he could cut down to 68, but I'm fighting at 70. It's not like you're giving necessarily Bivol a gift because Bivol's fighting for his titles.
Yeah, I don't see what the point of that would be, though. The 168 catch or the catchweight, just make it 175, man. If you can't beat the guy at his best, why the fuck would you want a handicap? Yeah, why would Canelo want a handicap? Then what's the point? Then people are gonna say, well, you didn't really beat the real Bivol. So I mean, listen, he should fuck the Bivol fight, man. I don't even know why he took that in the first place. We knew here in this channel that it was a bad move. He should fucking hire us and pay us, give us all his money. What do you think about that? He should give us all his money because he's gonna owe us. All right, listen. Let's be serious here for a moment. All right, so
I just think he's a stubborn dude, BD. I think he's a stubborn dude.
Well, he's a redhead.
And yeah.
He's a redhead. Of course he's going to be stubborn. That stereotype exists for a reason, man. All right, man. Let's move on. By the way, don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. All right, let's move on to another fighter here. All right, let's go to... Well, man, okay, I'll switch it up divisions here. Gonna go to the main one, the main honcho, Tyson Fury. There's only one Tyson Fury. Bob Arum recently came out, and Usyk's promoter as well, and they said, "Yep, we're probably gonna make the Usyk Fury fight rather, before March, more than likely." I think they said March or April, before March or April. So they're saying within the first 3-4 months, it's gonna happen. Gonzalo, do you see Tyson Fury walking away with a loss in 2023?
I personally think he beats Usyk. So, I mean, he wins that one. And if he beats Usyk, he's going to beat the guy after he beats Usyk. So, I think he remains undefeated.
Now, do you think it's going to be easy against Usyk, or do you think it's going to be one-sided? I mean, excuse me, or do you think it's going to be difficult?
It's going to be like an 8-4 type of fight. 8 rounds for Tyson Fury, 4 rounds for Usyk. This is a good comparison. We saw Usyk beat a weightlifter that's really like, he's a good fighter, but he's somewhat robotic. And maybe I'm exaggerating, but what I'm basically making a comparison And the reason I put an emphasis on robotic because Fury is the opposite of that. He's kind of like when I was talking about David Benavidez. He lets his hands go too because he's not bogged down by that fucking muscle. The arms are like they're ready to punch. They can fucking fly, and he's got boxing ability. He's got length. He can draw his arms back and keep on punching. Puppy with the jab. He's got pretty good footwork. Excellent for 6'9" guy. And so, I mean, Usyk's also a great boxer. One of the best boxers ever, and he's also a heavyweight now. But this guy's just as capable as Usyk, but he's got the longer dimensions. So he's going to keep him outside with the jab for the most part and box his head off. And he don't even have to go heavy. He just got to let his hands go. Because Usyk also warms up to the fact that, okay, he's got to get the distance. He's got to start letting the hands fly to put power behind his shots. This guy can do the same. Hey, I'm not going to try to like lace you with one hard shot to necessarily like win the fucking round, win the fucking fight. No, I'm just going to keep popping you, and boom, then I'm going to hit you with my big shot. And if you do that and Usyk tries to do the same, I think he wins that battle. And he'll start fucking putting the rounds in the bank.
Now, do you think, because again, we talk about the footwork, it goes both ways. Do you think Usyk might be too quick for Fury?
He might be not necessarily quicker on the inside. He might catch Fury, but once he catches him with the good shot, Fury will rest his body upon Usyk. You know, some of them WWE skills, some of that tying up that we've seen him do before.
Right.
So on the inside, I don't think that Fury will allow Usyk to work that much.
Well, I'll tell you what would worry me if I were Usyk, and that is the up jab from Fury. Because I don't know if you remember, but when he fought Chisora, Usyk did. Chisora was throwing, like he would switch southpaw, and then he would throw this southpaw jab with the right hand, obviously. And it was sort of like an up jab, and it seemed like Usyk couldn't see it. He had a difficult time seeing it, and it snapped his head a lot throughout the fight. There was not much he could do to stop it other than keep moving and using his footwork. And so Fury has a very good up jab, and he's quicker, I believe. I might be wrong, but I guess maybe if he isn't quicker than Chisora, he's got better timing with it, and it's longer. And like you said, he doesn't even have to throw hard to snap that head back and pile up points. So that's a weapon that Usyk's going to have to find a way to disarm. At the same time, though, I think Fury, he's a big Lomax. Even though he's more athletic than Joshua would seem, despite being bigger and fatter, he's still a 270 or 60-pound guy. So when you got a guy like Usyk who's 220 and who's got some of the quickest feet in that division, it's going to be interesting to see if Fury is going to be able to time and pin him down. So, but you're saying then, just to recapitulate, you're saying he walks away with wins and not a loss.
Yeah, I believe he walks out. If he faces Usyk, then he's going to probably face, I don't know, Anthony Joshua or a cherry pick. I think he walks out without losing in 2023.
There you go, man. All right, let me check the phone lines here. Oh, we got somebody calling in. The phone lines are open, people. Phone lines are open, so make sure to call in.
Yeah.
Give us your predictions on this.
And
I still got more. Yeah.
And most importantly, he walks out undisputed.
Oh,
so that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's going to be the ultimate reward for the winner of that fight. All right, don't forget, fellas, the phone lines are open. The number is in the bottom left-hand portion of your screen, so make sure to call in. Let's go to 661 here. 661, you're on the air. 661, what's on your mind?
Shadowban here. I just want to thank you for another good show, BDA. I always appreciate the BDA show.
Well, thank you.
I just took a few shots of tequila right now. My laptop just got here, and, I'm just chilling. And I want to speak about the Caleb Plant and David Benavidez fight. Props to Caleb Plant for taking that fight. I think they did the right thing by waiting until after the Canelo fight with Dave Plant. Now it is bigger fight. It is a bigger fight. It's cooked up more. It's going to happen, hopefully. But I feel like people they're getting a little ahead of themselves. Let's be honest. No disrespect to Darrell, but the dude looks like he retired years ago, and he just got a call. Oh, you want to fight that Caleb Plant? And he just took the paycheck. He looks like he hasn't done no sit-ups in a couple years. Let's be honest about it, man. And David Benavidez, for the people out there who are, I like Plant. I shout out to Plant. Props to him. It's a 50-50 fight. Anything can happen. But David Benavidez already stopped Errol years ago. So I feel like people are getting a little ahead of themselves. And let's be honest, a lot of people underrate David Benavidez. The dude he's a good fighter. Even Bivol himself said he has good defense. He wouldn't just say that people talk about David Benavidez has no defense. You don't know shit about nothing. You're just hypnotized by the little head movement. The dude is whooping your ass. He doesn't need to, But when he does have good footwork as well against David Lemieux, he showed it. When he needs to use it, he uses it. Good timing. The dude could fight, and I think people are getting a little ahead of themselves. I see anything can happen, right? I don't want to be negative Nancy, but David Benavidez already stopped Darrell, and they downplayed it. Oh, he was a washed up bum. Oh, now Plant knocks out old, even more washed up Darrell, and it's this guy is this. I see 9th, 10th round stoppers by Benavidez. Plant will slow down. David Benavidez is not Darrell. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Props to Plant for taking the fight, though. This is one of the best fights in boxing.
Hey, hopefully it happens, yeah, because it should have happened in 2022. And I agree with you about Darrell, because Darrell, just for a connection here, he drew with Kyron Davis before the Plant fight, and he looked awful in that fight. He looked like his timing was up. Like you said, it looked like he had one foot out the door. So you're right. It should take some points away from Caleb Plant. But we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. Anything else you want to say, Shadow Man, before we move on?
And Plant was on steroids most likely in the Canelo fight. And he's most likely to be on steroids in this one. I have no proof. I have no actual proof, but go watch the walkout, the ring walkout for that fight when Plant comes out. I don't know. He looks like he's on that good stuff. His eyes. I could be wrong though. Maybe it's just I could be wrong though. But those snack products, they got that good stuff.
Well, we'll see what happens.
That's all I want to say though.
All right, man. Enjoy that tequila, and don't enjoy it too much though. Drink responsibly. All right, man. And we'll catch you in the next one.
Thank you. Peace.
Take it easy, man. All right, that was Shadowban enjoying his a little early Christmas celebration. Don't forget to call in, fellas, and don't forget to hit the like. Really helps us out. Let's go to our phone call here. Let's go to 520. Give us your predictions for 2023. Who walks away with a win? Who walks away with a loss? 520. You're on the air. 520. What's on your mind?
Hey, is that me?
Yeah, that's you.
Hello? All right. Hey, man, it's Zero Cool. It's been a minute.
Oh, Zero Cool.
I'd like to say that Benavidez comes out with the victory versus Plant. The fight that I would like to see would be Inoue versus Casemiro to defend his undisputed titles. I thought that it was pretty silly that Casemiro lost his title and then Butler came up. I thought that should have been Casemiro fighting Inoue for undisputed. But if he doesn't do that, then hopefully he takes his talent to 122 and fights either Cool Boy Staff or MJ or whatever his name is, MA. It's just going to be challenging his body. He's a very small frame guy, so even those extra 4 pounds are going to make a huge difference for Inoue. But I definitely think he has the talent, and he has the hard work and dedication to move up and fight the best, Figueroa as well. So I can't wait to see what Inoue does moving forward.
Now, let me ask you something. Would you also be interested, because, Inoue said he's moving up to 122, so I'd like to see the Casemiro fight as well for entertainment purposes, even though I think Inoue wins it, but I don't think it happens now that he's moving up to 122. How about Panterita Neri, Luis Neri, says he wants Inoue. Would you be interested in that fight?
Possibly. It depends. I would rather see him fight one of the champions at 122, but I mean, if that's one of the best options, then yeah, why not? I mean, But my last thing is my question is to you guys is: do you guys believe that Canelo will be fighting in Cinco de Mayo, or is it going to be the year-long layoff?
It's a good question, Gonzalo. Have you what did Canelo? Are you aware of what Canelo said about his timeline, 2023?
Well, I think he said he's going to start to punch in January.
Oof.
So basically, like you said, he's nursing the injury right now. After the Christmas holidays, he's going to remove whatever he got on his hand, if anything, and just start going to town on the bag. Start punching probably the water bag and the fucking governor, that big round ball, the pad. And then after that, start hitting the heavy bag if his hand feels good. And he'll come back in May, I believe.
Yeah, Zero Cool. I think he might rush a tune-up for May to get that Cinco de Mayo fight.
Oh, for sure. One last thing that I wanted to say about Inoue is that if you go back to his fight of the year, he, broke his orbital bone on the second round and still went, the distance. And compare that to how Canelo broke Billy Joe Saunders' orbital bone and he quit during the fight. So, I mean, that just speaks volume about the type of athlete Inoue is. He reminds me of how Kobe fucked up his ankle and then, still walked out to, shoot the free throws, But, I just wanted to give a shout out to everybody in the panel and, can't wait for Open Lions Friday.
Oh, it's coming back, man. It is coming back. Butcher's got something special planned within the next week, I believe. So, Zero Cool, man. Always good to hear from you. And thank you for your call, man. We'll catch you in the next one.
All right, guys.
All right, take it easy, man. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Gonzalo, how about that? Would you be interested in Panterita Neri versus Inoue? Even though Inoue probably beats him, would you still be entertained by that? Do you think it would be entertaining?
Sure, I mean, Panterito's a power puncher. He's just inconsistent with the trainers a long time ago, I heard that he wasn't even gonna. What's Panterita fight at 122?
Yeah, I think he's
fighting. He used to fight at 118, right? I just heard that altogether he was gonna skip 122 from 118. He was gonna go to 126, but okay, I guess he's fighting at 22 now. That's just what I heard about. I don't know, like a year and a half ago. Mm-hmm. But okay, he's fighting at 22, sure, but he just got to be consistent with the trainer. Don't use the dope. Obviously, I'm going to root for him. He's from Tijuana, so, I mean, yeah, give him an opportunity. He's vulnerable to the body, so we saw him getting knocked out by Figueroa. Yeah, sure, fucking Inoue can crack to the body. Give him a chance. He got power.
Yeah, because Ring TV, they have him rated at number 6 at 122. So for all intents and purposes, he is a super bantamweight right now. So we'll see what happens. Junior featherweight, whatever they call it. All right, let's go to the phone call here. Let's go to 410. 410, you're on the air. 410, what's on your mind?
Well, what's up, BDA? How you doing?
Doing fantastic. How about you?
Hello? I'm doing good, man. Calling back once again. Hey, so as far as Caleb Plant, I think Caleb Plant and that David Benavidez fight, as far as that goes, I got David Benavidez really just trashing Plant for real. I got him really beating Plant up because I think the biggest problem for David Benavidez versus Plant is going to be Plant movement. I don't even think it's going to be his hand speed or none of that because David Benavidez proved that he got hand speed too. So it's not going to be the hand speed that's going to be a problem with him. It's going to be the movement because he like to walk people down. You see what I'm saying? And Caleb Plant like to kind of run around, move, and still like stick and move, pop, stick and move, pop, stick and move, that type of shit. That's what he's going to have to do to win that fight because if he try to go toe-to-toe with David Benavidez, you already know that's going to be an ugly night for him. So that's how this fight about to go. That's why he asked for a bigger ring. He asked for a bigger ring for that purpose, so he can move around. You see what I'm saying? So he have more space to keep moving, sticking and moving and shit. That's exactly what the fuck he plan on doing. We already know what your game plan is. So David Benavidez ain't going to have too much of a problem with him. Tyson Fury versus Usyk. Tyson Fury, man, that's a big guy, man. I don't know. I feel like Usyk gonna have to do the same thing, and Usyk don't do that much moving. He gonna really be like kind of like and beeline for Tyson Fury to just do whatever. So I think Tyson Fury really going to whip, yo. I ain't gonna lie. I don't see Usyk pulling that one off. He gonna have to block a lot of big shots, and I don't think he's gonna be able to weather that storm for 12 rounds. That's just too long. I heard somebody say something about Inoue. I think Inoue is like top fighter in boxing right now. Like that Kevin Fulton shit that they keep talking about, they need to go ahead and cash that shit. Just go ahead and kill that off, because that Kevin Fulton, he is not ready for Inoue. That shit is dead. He is not ready at all. He's gonna get beat. He's gonna get whipped on, and I think that's going to be a long night for Kevin Fulton. He robbed Brandon Figueroa, I feel like, in my opinion.
Whoa.
He robbed him. He got him. Yeah. That Figueroa fight, I feel like that was a robbery. I really feel like Figueroa pulled that one off, yo.
Interesting.
I really do. I think he did that.
So
if he go up in there and fight Inoue, I got Inoue trashing, yo.
But the thing that surprised... Excuse me. The thing that surprised me the most about your phone call right now is that you're saying that that Stephen Fulton isn't gonna fight him. So, just remind me: are you saying that because you don't think it happens, PBC wise, or do you trashes him and Stephen Fulton knows it?
I don't think they're going to even put Kevin Fulton in that ring with Inoue for real. For some reason, over there at PBC and all that, they don't do too much of that unification shit and sending people overseas, or they don't take risk over there. So I think that shit just a done deal. Over on that side of the fence, they just play a lot of games. BDA, I think you know that as well as I know that. They play a whole bunch of games over there, so I don't think that fight gonna jump off at all. And it was a caller that called up here too that said something about when Benavidez had knocked out Darrell and all of that, it was like it wasn't nothing. He was a bum back then. But then when Caleb Plant do it, it was a big thing. And I think it was a big thing mainly because of all the trash talk. But that right there is the problem in boxing. It feel like everybody catch the Mandela effect, and then they just don't remember anything from the past. Once everything starts moving along and shit, people just forget about all of the trash talk from before. They kind of forget about all of the build up. That build up shit, it kind of get missed, and then their previous fights get missed as well. You see what I'm saying? Because you can make the same case for fucking Kambosos and Devin Haney. Everybody know how that shit went. Kambosos was a fucking bum going into TO. He was somebody after he beat TO, and then he was the man after he got washed by Devin Haney twice. You know what I mean? He got beat the fuck up, and he's still the man. You see what I'm saying? He's still somebody.
That's a good point, man.
With for some reason.
It's like a movie. Boxing is like a movie,
and we've seen it.
Yeah, boxing is like a movie. There's a lot of editing going on as it goes along. Well, anyway, hey, listen, caller. Any other predictions you want to make for 2023?
Any predictions? Upcoming fights. I got Tank Davis beating the shit out of Hector Garcia because he a trash can with no defense. I think that much. Yeah, I really got your trash in him because Hector Garcia is just a come forward guy, no defense. He fights with his face. All of his defense is with his face. So this is what I wanted to say to you, BDA. If Tank got as much power as everybody think he do, or as we believe he do, and I feel like he got it, he should be able to slump this guy, Hector Garcia, in about 3 rounds. Like, no lie. He should be able to get you out of here in like 3. Because it was a whole debate not too long ago on a whole nother podcast that everybody was debating that he would knock Terrence Crawford out at 147 in 6 rounds.
All right, that's
6
enough.
rounds.
That's
6
enough.
rounds at 147. Tank Davis would knock out Terrence Crawford. This was a whole debate. So I feel like in Hector Garcia versus Tank Davis, he should be able to get you out of there in 3 goddamn rounds. If this was ever a debate, and everybody felt like Tank could slump at 147 at 6 rounds, Terrence Crawford, this shit was crazy to me. So for that, I gotta say to you, Tank Davis in 3 rounds for Hector Garcia.
All right.
He walking with new confidence, I guess. The fact that he even said that makes me believe that he walking with some type of new confidence that lets him believe that he could just do whatever to whoever and just knock him out because he got the power. And that's what he preached for most of the time. So, you mean, I'm going to be watching that fight with a keen eye to see if I see anything different. if I see any type of difference out of him, or if he get him out of here way earlier than 6, it got to be earlier than 6 if he going to slump Bud Crawford at 147.
Well, listen, we got your predictions.
So
we got your predictions here.
I'm going to let y'all go.
Yeah, man, we got your predictions down here. We'll see what happens, man. But thank you for your call, and we'll catch you in the next one, right, man?
Ain't no question. All right, be easy, man.
You too, man. I was gonna say Gonzalo, I'm thinking of saying Merry Christmas to the callers, but then I don't know if any of them are any other denomination, whatever. So I'm starting to get too PC here. I'm starting to get too PC. Maybe I should just say, what do they say in the workplace? Happy holidays, just to keep it politically correct.
Jingle bells. Jingle balls.
Jingle my balls, yeah. All right, shout out to Ratbacks Trucking Company for rejoining the BD membership program. He says, I predict that Spence Bud is a pipe dream and they will never fight in 2023, just like I said all of 2022. Hey, man, I'm right there with you, Ratbacks. Months ago, I decided I was going to tell myself that fight's not happening. I don't care if it happens now. Because I've prepared mentally throughout the months that I knew that fight wasn't going to happen in 2022. And so I don't give a shit if it happens in 2023, 2024. They're probably going to fight like Azuma Nelson and what was the name of that? And Fennec, when they had their rubber match 10 years after they retired for a charity match or something. That's probably what's going to happen with Crawford and Spence. Once they're, Spence is in fucking rehab and Crawford divorces his wife and has to pay her a lot because, she probably looks like she needs to burn through a lot of money. They're probably going to fight 10 years down the road in an exhibition match. And even then I won't care. I mean, I'll certainly care less. So shout out to Ratbacks for that. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Really appreciate it and really helps us out. All right, so we were talking about Tyson Fury then, Gonzalo. That's where we stopped. And, I mean, what else is there to say? It's interesting. Some people feel Usyk beats him. Other people feel Fury beats him easy. It seems like there's no middle ground with those two.
Yeah, so it's going to depend a lot about the game in regards to who wins the styles matchup. I think the game plan. Yeah, if you're gonna keep it boxing, man, he could take some shots. I mean, we saw him against Deontay Wilder, dropped him, but he got back up. Against Steve Cunningham dropped him, he got back up. I wouldn't necessarily underestimate Alexander Usyk, like if he can't punch. But what I'm saying is, I would keep him at bay. I wouldn't just go in there thinking because he's a smaller dude that he can't hurt me. Because the thing, if Usyk hurts you, he's gonna go for it. And don't underestimate Usyk's power. I believe Tyson Fury, he's got to probably cut down on lower than 270, where he mixed the size where he wanted to be like a big dude against Deontay Wilder. No, you got to cut down a little bit smaller than that and be like real, like fit.
That's true, man. He's gonna have to be the Tyson Fury of the Klitschko fight, as lean as possible, because slow is gonna be bad. People say, oh, he's gonna lean on him. I think he's gonna try to, but I don't know if he's gonna be able to pull it off. I mean, you look at Anthony Joshua in the last round against Usyk. He tried to clinch him. He tried to get really close. And it wasn't easy, man. Usyk would step back and counter him with combinations. Now, of course, that was the last round. Joshua was tired. We'll see what Fury can pull off in the early rounds when he's not tired, when he's still fresh. And obviously, Fury is a better clincher and inside fighter than Joshua. But it's still, that's going to be an interesting fight for sure, man. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. And the phone lines are open, so call in and give us your predictions for 2023. Or your thoughts on what we've said so far about the fighters that we've looked at here. All right, let's move on from Tyson Fury here and the heavyweights, and let's move on to another name, or another fighter, rather. Hold on a second. Who else should I... Gonzalo, give me your suggestion. Which weight division you want to talk about next? Or, like, which fighter from which division do you want to talk about next? Just give me the weight division, and I'll pick out a fighter.
I mean, we know 135 and 140 are really popular divisions.
All right. Okay, then let's go with... Okay, let's go with Ryan Garcia, who said that he will forfeit a tune-up and just go straight into the Tank Davis fight. Should Tank Davis walk away the winner against Garcia, and should that fight materialize because some of us have our doubts about whether that fight will even be signed. Gonzalo, what do you think about Ryan Garcia? You think he walks away from 2023 with a win or with a loss?
Big mistake not taking the tune-up. I think he wants to take it easy during Christmas and whatever. I don't know. Then he fights Tank Davis when he's supposed to fight him in March or May.
That's a good question, man. I mean, Tank is going to be fighting in about 2 weeks, I believe. It's not that the fight's coming up real quickly. Hold on, let me see. But keep going. Let me just find the date. Meanwhile,
I think it's in May because March. That would be too close for Tank Davis. So if Tank Davis fights in the middle of January, he would probably take a couple weeks off and come back to training and put a good solid eight weeks in for the Ryan Garcia. And I think somebody mentioned that I heard it was with the letter M. So I don't think it's March, it's May. So that's 5 months going into the new year. That'll be like 9 months since Ryan Garcia's last fight of inactivity. I don't know if that necessarily benefits Ryan Garcia, and even Oscar De La Hoya said it. It's not a good idea. 9 months out of the ring without the headgear, the smaller gloves. I don't know, man. It's hard to say that who wins that fight.
all right, so
I don't know if he comes out like undefeated.
Just to clarify, the fight, Tank Davis is fighting on January the 7th. So early 2023, just the first week of January of 2023, essentially. So that's in not this Saturday, not the next, the next. So that's almost 3 weeks from now. Almost. It's like 2 weeks and a half from now he's going to be fighting. So I think you might be right, man. He's going to be walking away. But here's let me throw you a curveball, Gonzalo. What if Garcia gives him hell and it actually taxes his body? Do you think he's still in a better... Do you think at that point Ryan Garcia would be in a better position, even though he might be a little bit rustier, but he wouldn't be physically compromised?
I don't think so. Hector Garcia doesn't hit that hard. He got like 9 knockouts in 30-something fights.
13 fights.
It's just better for...
He's got 16. I think he's got 16 fights.
Oh, he's got 16 fights?
Yeah. He hasn't fought that because he's an
Olympian.
Olympian.
What the fuck am I talking about?
He's an Olympian. So I think he's a 2016 Olympian. He hasn't fought that much.
Are you sure, BD?
Well, let me check, man. Now you got me second-guessing myself here. Let's see. What's his name again? Hector Luis Garcia? I'm just going to write Hector.
Hector Garcia.
Hector. Do you know anybody named Hector, by the way? Because that's a cool-ass name, man. I wish I had that name. Hector.
Yeah, I know. I knew Hector. Puerto Rican dude. Yeah, it was hella cool.
Yeah, Gonzalo, 16 fights. 16 wins, 10 knockouts.
9 knockouts?
10 knockouts.
10 knockouts. Okay, he got power. Damn, I don't know who I was thinking of. He's got good power.
He dropped Chris Colbert. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. That's right.
So he can crack,
man. He's tall, too.
What I like about Hector Garcia, okay, even though it's only going to be his 3rd fight at lightweight, there's something that he's got, which is a gas tank. The guy has very good stamina. And Tank Davis likes to take his sweetest time because so most of the time he can control guys with his timing and with his power, and he makes guys sheepish. But we saw what happened with Isaac Cruz. Isaac Cruz pressed him, and this guy was clinching. He was buying time. Then he had to blame his hand afterwards. So Hector Garcia, even though he's not as tight defensively as Isaac Cruz, he's got a big gas tank, just like Isaac Cruz. He might actually have better fucking stamina than Isaac Cruz, now that I think about it. So could turn into a problem for Tank Davis if he doesn't take this one seriously. But anyway,
that's a lot of recovery time. And Tank Davis is a young guy. The pros outweigh the cons.
All right. So you don't see Garcia walking away from 2023 with an unblemished record?
I don't know, man. That Tank Davis is a 50-50 fight. I think Ryan wins if he's not stupid and keeps reestablishing the distance and never really like goes punch for punch with Tank. I'm not saying that he's scared, but that's the game plan you got to follow. You got to keep Tank Davis on the outside and catch him with your lead left hook as Tank Davis tries to collapse the pocket and step in. And when he steps in, you got to step back and swipe that left hook. You know, with the quickness. and keep that dude always like on the edge of your wheelhouse.
That's what. Hey, listen, that sounds
But
like a sensible
not
plan,
not
man.
to say that freaking Tank Davis is not gonna try and impose the lack of his length to get on the inside and force the fight. But we know that he's not necessarily the best at doing that. Now, if Ryan Garcia's smart, he's not gonna be suckered into that finding himself in that position where Tank's in the inside. And he can get caught with the punch, because Tank Davis, he got good hooks, but he usually has to like measure you, line you up, and feel comfortable to like let it go. Once he's got you within his crosshairs, he'll throw and he'll catch you like he did Leo Santa Cruz. We know he couldn't do it against like freaking was it Bivol Cruz, because Bivol Cruz got a tight guard, but he was a short dude. Ryan Garcia tall. Don't be suckered and lured in for him, to get you in his crosshairs like he did against Leo Santa Cruz. Always keep resetting the distance, and I think they're smart with that. And how are you gonna do that? You're gonna do that behind a good jab and keep throwing that left hook, and of course also command respect with the trail hand, because that's your power hand actually. So that's a good fight, and I see a lot of people getting riled up with Tank Davis. He got a lot of fans. For some reason, it brought it out of me too right now.
Yeah.
It's an exciting fight.
At least he can crack. If he had a lot of fans and he was a boring guy, then I'd be questioning the sanity of some of these guys. But at least, hey, listen, Tank Davis is somebody that you can watch, because he's a puncher and he gets the job done most of the time. All right, let's move on. By the way, we got a phone call here. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Let's go to 520. 520, you're on the air. 520, what's on your mind?
Hey, it's Zero Cool again. Actually, I wanted to give a couple shout out to the not Teofimo himself, but his undercard. I think they had a lot of great talent. It was good to see Keyshawn Davis. I think he's a real up and comer. I'm not sure if he's ready to face the top, but he's definitely heading in the right direction. He has good talent. Jared Anderson is another good one that I like watching fight. Xander Sayas. So I really enjoyed the undercard for the Teofimo fight. With that being said, I'd also like to say that I was impressed by Martin this past weekend. I think he had a good fight. I expected more from his opponent, but it is what it is. Good fighters make things happen. And I'm not sure if you guys caught the undercard of the Terrence Crawford fight, but there's a young boxer that I've been watching since his third or fourth fight. He's 7-0 now. He goes by Kid Kansas, Ryan Garcia. Just wanted to give him a shout out, because he's a young up and coming guy. He hasn't fought the best competition, but he's new to professional. He's 19, I believe. So he's fighting whoever they put up against him. So I do see him, making a little bit more of a splash in 2023. For the first couple of fights, I had to watch him through Instagram Live, somebody recording him. So it was actually nice to see him on the TV on Crawford's undercard. But just wanted to give him a shout out.
All right, shout out to you, man. Thank you for calling back. And Kid, what did he say? What did you say his name was? Arkansas?
Kid Kansas.
Kid Kansas. What's Kid Kansas? Kid Austin? Kid Orange County? How many kids are we gonna get now?
I don't know. That's a lot. All right, guys.
He's a Latino fighter?
Yeah, he's a Latino fighter. He's fighting off of Los Angeles now. That's where he's training, but he's from Kansas.
Oh, there you go.
He's part of the. He's part of the. What's that guy? Brandon Rios and
Victor Ortiz.
Jesus, the other dude. They're from Kansas.
Yeah, that's true.
Ortiz. Yeah.
They're not in Kansas anymore, though. That's for sure. All right. Well, listen. Thank you for your call, man, and we'll catch you in the next one. All right, man.
For sure.
All right, take it easy, man. Yeah, I'm gonna check that guy out now. Kid Kansas. All right, let's go to another phone call here. Don't forget to hit the like. Let's go to 914. 914, you're on the air. 914, what's on your mind?
What's up, guys? What's up, BDA? What's up, Gonzalo? Always good to hear from you guys. Very insightful channel.
Is this this voice sounds familiar? Who is this?
Fernando.
Oh, Fernando, of course, man. I always ask you that. Okay, you sound familiar. I forget. All right, Fernando, what's up, man? You wanna make any predictions for 2023?
Well, first of all, I want to address one thing, right? I believe you can do triangle theories when it comes to identical styles of fighting, or particularly when it comes to punch resistance. You could kind of do a triangle theory assessment, right?
Of course,
bro. If you guys are giving Caleb Plant like the knockout itself was a spectacular knockout optically when he knocked out Anthony the Dog Durrell, right? My only thing is, how long has the Dog Durrell been in the twilight of his career?
Well, that's what Shadow Band brought up when he called in, and I agree with him. There's an asterisk next to that knockout as well.
BD, that was an excellent punch.
You guys remember that fight with
knockout of the year?
Do you guys remember the fight with the Turkish guy? What's his name?
Yeah,
Canelo fought him too. Chris Eubank fought him. They both. Yeah, you guys remember when the Dog Durrell, like, he wanted to get out of that fight. His brother was telling him to lay down, and that ended up being whatever it was that day with that decision, the ruling that they made on that fight. But that tells you how much fight a fighter's got left in him once you start seeing that type of stuff. So, with Caleb Plant, bro, he kind of knows his level, and that's why he was saving himself for Canelo. That's not a diss to Caleb Plant. He played it well, $10 million. But that fast, snappy stuff and that shoulder roll, I see Benavidez wants this fight. Benavidez feeds off of the crowd. He actually has a fan base. And, as much as we say things about how he's managed his career, he really cares about his fans once he's in that ring. And I think Caleb Plant, in a way, he's kind of been a little bit envious of Benavidez's fan base, but because of Benavidez's knucklehead moves, him losing the belt and everything like that,
right? Yeah,
Caleb Plant was able to get that payday. But if you would never strip Benavidez of the belt, and if you never missed weight, this fight would have been a foregone conclusion with a younger Benavidez. A younger Benavidez would have beat Caleb Plant, in my opinion.
Interesting.
And this one will definitely steamroll.
So you think that Caleb Plant and Durrell think it's a mirage? You think it's an illusion that people are falling for, and you think Benavidez?
Guys, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but what do you think about some of these PBC matchups and these PBC knockouts? I don't want to go into that territory, but it's what do you want me to say, man?
Well, listen, the Durrell knockout, with the way he dropped, I don't think he faked that one. I don't think he took a dive. But
no, it wasn't a faking. But I'm just saying, they served him up on a silver platter.
That's a good point.
The only reason why it looks spectacular, it looks very spectacular, but that's because we think Caleb Plant is soft hands, right, or sweet hands, whatever. But let him get knockout of the year with that knockout, but that's not a good indicator of his punching power for me.
You're right. But hey, listen, Caleb Plant, I will say this. I think he's going to give it his all because he is that confident going in there. Whether we agree or disagree about the level of opposition Durrell presented, he believes that that he can crack now. And hopefully, at least for the first 5 rounds, it gives him the impetus to actually fucking let his hands go. But I think I agree with you. I think Benavidez is going to steamroll him, at least late in the fight if he goes that late. And we'll see what happens, man. But anyway, listen, Fernando, we do have to move on, man. But thank you for your call, and we'll catch you in the next one, all right, man?
One last thing, BDA. One last thing.
All right.
What's with these announcements, but not definite announcements? Like Errol Spence, April, May, June. Well, which of the 3 months, bro? Which of the 3 months? You guys remember that?
Yeah, we heard. Yeah, I'm gonna play that clip later.
Steven Espinoza on Twitter, more fight cards this year than the last year. Well, this year, you kind of did you really have a real third and fourth quarter? Yeah, you gave us Frank Martin, Michel Rivera, but I enjoyed that. But what's with this? Soon.
Yeah, man.
I'll fight this year. Soon.
And you know what, Fernando? And you know what? People are giving them props for it. Like, Tank Davis, Ryan Garcia. Oh, they're gonna fight. They haven't fought yet. They haven't even announced the fucking fight, the venue. We don't even know if it's signed.
And Oscar De La Hoya kind of threw a little bit of cold water on the situation. But anyway, guys, I don't want to take up too much of your time, man. But you listen, guys, all these fake comments. I can't wait. Yeah, you're waiting. They're waiting. The fighters waiting on a fight date. The fans are waiting on an imaginary fight date.
That's a great point, man.
I can't wait for this fight. You know how many times I see that comment? I can't wait. I can't wait.
Hey, Fernando, maybe 2023 is going to be the year of keep waiting. Keep waiting. It's going to happen. Wait and see. Wait and see.
Keep waiting. That's right. Keep waiting.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, listen, thank you for your call, Fernando, and have yourself a Merry Christmas, man. Take it easy out there.
You too, guys. Take care, and let Christ be in Christmas.
There you go. That's right. All right. Assalamu alaikum, my friend. All right.
BDA. Yes. In the military, they used to call it hurry up and wait. hurry up and wait. Anywhere you would go, because it's a military compound. There's hundreds of thousands of people, so you make line for everything. When it comes to getting ammo, like lunch, getting your food and
hurry up and wait. Yeah, Timothy Figueroa in the chat says coming soon. Yeah, it's gonna be the year of the coming soon, and people are gonna be like, "Yeah, man, give this." I saw people doing that on Twitter for Tank Davis. Look at what you mean he never? Because somebody said he's never fought anybody of note, and somebody goes, "Look at his schedule." It's like, oh yeah, look at his schedule. The fights haven't happened yet. If he makes it past all those fights, then of course he deserves credit. But so far, they're only announcing fights. They're announcing fights, and they're not even signed yet, and people are already creaming their pants over that. So it's weird, man. Chief is dropping in. Chief, are you there?
Hey, Chief. Did I say hundreds of thousands of people? No, I meant thousands. Okay, what's up, Chief?
What's up? Good evening, gentlemen. How are we? We're at Ryan Garcia.
Well, we're going to move on from that guy. Well, unless you want to say something, though.
I mean, look, it's time for all of these lightweights, regardless of their age, and I'm including Tank Davis in there. That's why I said regardless of age, need to step up a little bit more. You got to give Haney his credit for fighting Kambosos, defending against Kambosos, and having all the belts, regardless of how weak that or strong, depending on your fan base, of his resume to get to undisputed. Point is, he's the only one that's done anything so far. So the rest of them need to go ahead and pick a pot and either sit on it or.
Well, listen. What I'm saying. What we're doing on this show is we're predicting 2023, and as we look at certain fighters, we try to predict: is he gonna walk away with a pristine record, or is he gonna walk away with a loss in 2023? What do you think with Garcia? You think he's gonna walk away with his first loss, or do you think he's gonna stay undefeated?
Depends on a few things, and one of them is he going to fight Tank? If he fights Tank, is he going to win? I'm not ready to make that prediction quite yet, but I don't think I've heard he's not trying to take a tune-up. He's just going to try and go straight forward after Tank's next fight. He's right at the ability now where he can win, similar to the analogy I make about Zoo versus Charlo. More than likely, Charlo can beat Zoo. He's got more all-around skills, but Zoo has just enough of talent, power, strength, size, and everything else to still beat Charlo. I don't favor him to beat Charlo. Even though I'm going to be pulling for him, but I don't think that I'm not positive he can do it. He has everything just what he needs to be able to. That doesn't mean he will. Garcia's got all the height and everything else to be able to beat Tank. That doesn't mean he will. If he doesn't fight Tank, I don't see him losing this year. If he does fight Tank, I'm not. Someone here says 50-50 fight. Cool Boy Curry, I don't know what you're referring to, but that's what I'm saying for Tank versus Ryan.
He said Boots Ennis versus Karen is a 50-50 fight. You know, it's listen, that's his prediction for 2023. All right, let's move on from Ryan Garcia then. And let's go to another fighter. But before we do that, shout out to KG. Shout out to KG for his contribution with the Super Chat. He says, Showtime doesn't have a budget for boxing, in my opinion. Well, that's a good opinion, man, because I think they're scrambling to find out where they're going to hold boxing the next year, if at all. So that's another thing we could talk about later. It's where does the PBC figure in 2023 when it comes to boxing, or more specifically Showtime too, man? Because there's been that talk about how they're going to move their platform over to an app, at least as it concerns sports, I believe. All right, so let's move on to another fighter then. Who else? All right, so we went from lightweight Let's go to...
Can I mention a quick name, BD? I'm kind of wondering, dude's 27, it's just some random fighter that's pretty good, but what the hell's up with his career? Lindolfo Delgado, mentioning the 135-pounders. That's fucking crazy, man. The dude don't fucking fight. He's talented. He got skill, man. I hope he fights next year.
He's with Top Rank, right?
I think he's with Top Rank. Yeah, he's with Top Rank.
Yeah,
Why the hell aren't they promoting him the way they should?
Well, that's where...
Or why is he not fighting? Why is he so inconsistent? I don't know.
I mean, Top Rank has been... They're the best, or yeah, a lot of people would say they're the best. I'm not quite sure, but right now with certain fighters, man, they're not doing their best. I mean, they just matched him up with Aguilar, though. That was a fucking war. So Aguilar was undefeated. So they did match him up well. I mean, they gave him a good fight. But you're right, man. He didn't... How many times did he fight? I mean, look, listen. He's 27, like you said. He's got less than 20 fights, and he only fought twice this year. It's like Steve Kim says, that's not how you develop fighters. So, I don't know, man. We'll see what happens with him, man. I don't got much to say about him other than that. Oh, he's from my neck.
Well, if he fights twice this year, put him in against a good opponent.
Well, hopefully that's what they're gonna do, man. 130 pounds. Who knows who they'll put him in there with? But maybe Top Rank can find somebody for him. All right, let's go to another fighter here. Then let's go to who can we fucking put in here, man? Oh yeah, I'm curious about this dude. Demetrius Andrade didn't fight at all this year. In fact, the last show where we did the boxing report cards, he got a fail. What do you guys think is going to happen with Demetrius Andrade? Do you think he's going to fucking finally get a big fight? Do you think, or at least a decent fight? Or is he going to retire? Like, what's going to happen with him?
Well, didn't he cross the street?
Yes, he did, yeah.
He left Eddie Hearn. He left Eddie Hearn. And then I didn't read or hear that he directly went with PBC, but it's implied that that's the direction he wants to go. So that's lovely. That's another fighter on the shelf, on the inventory, just sitting there waiting for Al Heyman to find something to do with him. However, the fights that he wants to make him more relevant, if he wants to fight a Caleb Plant, a Benavidez, a Charlo, and we all know he wants a Canelo, it's a smarter decision for him to possibly go there, even though Eddie Hearn deals with Canelo. But he has other options instead of just trying to hope for Canelo.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I didn't hear about him pushing to become mandatory for the WBO, even though he had the right to do so. I didn't hear him. He hasn't sent anybody any contracts. He's undefeated with over 20 fights. He's been a pro for, close to 10 years now, and he's in his mid-30s, and he hasn't fought a single former world champion ever in a four-belt era of 18 divisions. So, that being said, I don't hold a whole lot of high hopes that they're going to take any risks. But I think what's eventually going to happen is if they never get the Canelo fight, he'll age out. He'll do what, what's that guy's name? The featherweight that Loma fought.
The featherweight, Rigondeaux?
Gary Russell.
Oh, Gary Russell.
No, Gary Russell. He'll Gary Russell out. He'll possibly get Canelo will probably give it to WBO if it's not worth his interest in keeping undisputed. He'll pick it up. He'll defend once a year, maybe twice a year at best. And then eventually a contender will be too young for him and will beat him. And that's if his management doesn't really start to make things happen for him. What I'm saying is a worst case scenario for him. I don't see him losing his O in 2023 because I just don't think they're going to risk anything until they can cash in with the major fight if they ever get one.
Sergeant Z in the chat says he's going to go undefeated 0-0. So that's a good prediction right there, man. Hey, maybe you mentioned Durrell and Plant. Maybe the plan is to put him in there against the winner. I wouldn't mind that, but for his sakes, he better shake off that rust against Nicholson because Nichols, I forget what the guy's name is exactly. He's a durable guy. He went 10 rounds, I believe, with Berlanga. And yeah, Berlanga's been proven overrated, but he can crack. And the fact Nichols went the distance, he's got hard at least. So if Andrade shows up there in less than stellar condition, you never know what can happen. This is boxing. Hey, Gonzalo, what do you think, man? Andrade, 2023. You think he walks away there with a good year, or I mean, it can't be worse than 2022, right?
Yeah, it can't be worse. I'm really disinterested in his the way he talks, the way he moves. His fighting style is not really exceptional. Nothing about that fighter really makes me think positive about his expectations for 2023.
Yeah,
in other words, who gives a fuck?
Yeah, let's move on from Demetrius Andrade. I mean, it's like, listen, he's all over the place. One day he's with Top Rank, the next he's fucking Lou DiBella, the next he's with us. I mean, it just makes no sense, man. Let's move on. Okay, let's move on to a big name here, because I want to bring up something that occurred this past Saturday. We had the Martin fight versus Rivera, whatever his name was, and Errol Spence was in the arena or the venue, and he did an interview with Showtime, and he said a lot of things. But let me play you the clip of what exactly he said, and this filled us all with a complete and total lack of confidence about his future in 2023. Check out Brian Coster asking him about when he's gonna fight.
When do you want to be back in the ring? Because you just said that you expect to be back in the ring. When will you be back in the ring?
Probably like around May or June, April, May or June. Just gotta, talk to my team, and
April, May, or June. I mean, he might have just well have said, I don't know. But of course, his handlers probably told him, no, don't say that. Fellas, what the heck's going on here?
I'd tell you what. 3 fighters I was extremely high on back in 2015 were this guy and the Charlo brothers. I thought I saw some serious Hall of Fame potential in these guys. And maybe on today's standards they might be. But they're just the talent I saw, the way they could throw their punches, the way they worked the body, that just I really had high hopes. Between Al Heyman, and I'm going to mention Al Heyman specifically, and whoever else handles them, just really fallen short of what they should be. And if he's not looking to fight till the year's halfway over, then one thing we're definitely can bet the farm on is that he won't be fighting Bud again next year. He will fight a tune-up probably of anybody, and then unless Thurman is his tune-up, and then Thurman after said tune-up, unless I said like Thurman is the tune-up. What will happen after that will be a gimme, I'm sure. Let me rephrase. When I say gimme, it won't. The fight. The only fight's acceptable for him outside of Ennis and Ortiz is Bud. But Stenhonis, a lot of people around here are high on him, and that for good reason. So they might squeeze that one in, thinking that that's the least risk. But those are the 2 fights I see him as either an unnamed fighter with Thurman, or Thurman being the tune-up and possibly Stenhonis, because he is behind on his WBO. Remember, the WBO is consolidating all their belts, so that has to get done in the near future. Mm-hmm. So that's all I see him doing this year, if he even gets that far.
Gonzalo, what do you think? I mean, what's going on? April, May, or June is when he's going to come back?
Yeah, it's pretty clear now that probably, I can't say, but okay, he needs to fight. It's pretty clear now that this guy, we went from Keith Thurman, a guy that brought out the doctor's note when he got in a car accident and say, I can't fight because I'm healing. Then we got Errol Spence, who we thought was more on a roll, showing like good boxing ability, world champion, entertaining somewhat. We saw him follow in the same footsteps as Keith Thurman. Brought out the doctor's note just because you got in a car accident. It's like work. You get the pass. But at some point, you got to start asking questions, man, what the fuck is really going on? Now you got into a second car accident and you're saying it hurts. Now your turnaround from, okay, Crawford fought, you should have fought right around this time. But now you're saying you're fighting in the middle of next year? What's the deal with that, man? You got 3 of the titles. The division is still being held hostage. And what I'm looking forward to see is Virgil Ortiz fighting Stanionis and becoming a mandatory to face this guy and putting these guys in a pickle, where it's like at some point you got to face this guy because you for sure ain't making it happen. You and Terrence Crawford.
That's right. Two jackasses. And let me say something about that. Errol Spence, in this interview, looked and sounded dejected. Let me just play the audio again.
Probably like around May or June, April, May or June. Just gotta, talk to my team, and, hopefully, I'll recover 100%. I'm sure I'll recover 100% because I've been in worse accidents.
Yeah. Yes.
I've been in worse accidents, but, talk to my...
They're laughing their asses off. Listen, this fucker sounded... I hate to make Kansas aspersions, but it entered my mind, as it did a lot of people. I don't know if he was sober in this interview. I know he's not exactly the most animated person, but he sounded weird. Also, the way he said when they asked him, when are you going to fight next? And he goes, well, I might fight June. Like, I could tell he sounded dejected and looked dejected because that's the answer they gave him. His handlers gave him before this interview. They say, okay, when they ask you who you're going to fight or when you're going to fight, I'm sorry, but this is the date. And he probably doesn't like it, but what the fuck can he do? And here's the other problem. He showed up wearing a sweater, big, Christmas sweater. It looks itchy, by the way. I don't like those type of sweaters. But somebody took this picture from the crowd, and I don't know if it's photoshopped. I don't know if it's the sweater making him look this way. But some people claim that, hold on, it's not showing up. Let me put it on the browser here. Some people say that he doesn't less than in his stellar shape, or what's going on here?
This guy, when he trains, he works hard, but when he's on his off time, from what I hear, he needs to eat a lot of like fast food, and the metabolism is slowing down, man. He ain't 20-something years old now. He's in his early 30s, so the metabolism is slowing down. He's 5'10", and he's probably weighing around 180. Same thing happens to Thurman and everybody. The dude's big, but when it comes to training, yeah, they're hard workers, they're gym rats, and they cut down to the weight. But it's going to start, that type of life is going to start writing a check, that his ass can't catch no more.
He's fat ass.
Because life has receipts, man. Whatever you do, you're going to pay. You're going to pay later,
and you know
sooner rather than later.
You know what he said recently? Because I want to get into it later. But Jermell the Charlos were involved now in this saga, and Errol Spence said, "Yeah, maybe I'll move up to 154 because at my age, it's getting harder to make 147."
I don't want to see your fat face. Get out.
So he's even saying it that making 147 ain't working out, and I like you said, Gonzalo, that's gotta be because he blows up in weight during training. I mean, in between fights. Chief, what do you think, man? Do you think that photograph of him is indicative of the weight he's at right now, or is that a bit of an illusion there?
Oh, me? No, I don't think it's too much of an illusion. It is a sweater. He did have a shirt underneath the sweater.
Right.
So let's point out the fact he was wearing layers. But I make fun of myself for being fat now because I am. But when I was thin, even when I wore layers, my stomach didn't stick out past my chest like his is doing right there. And now in my 30s, I was already kind of thick, but in my 20s, which he's not anymore, if I was wearing that much clothes, my stomach still wouldn't have stuck out past my chest. So his stomach is definitely a little bit flabby there, and you can't really get a good read on the traps with all that he's wearing. He's not a huge trap guy, but he does. His shoulders usually. Look right there. Okay, so in the picture you've got there, it's kind of flat all the way across, right?
Oops.
The shoulder looks like it's like his shoulders are sagging down some. Now that could be the posture to where he's standing, or the fact that his traps aren't in very good shape right now. That much, the trap part is kind of like an assumption. That gut is not. If he were in shape, or close to in shape, mind you, not too long ago he was supposed to be in training for a fight that just recently fell through within the past couple months, 2 months for Bud Crawford. So why is he looking like that?
Well, yeah. Can you maybe clarify on the timeline? Because I've heard people say, like in the comment section of the photograph that I was just showed, there was a comment section for it, and some people were saying, "Well, wait a minute, how come he said he was ready to fight Crawford in December, and yet he's looking like that?" What's the timeline? Or the supposed timeline for their negotiations. Can you break that down?
I don't remember them all, but I know that around November, that friend of mine that I don't mention on air was calling me about the fact that the fight had finally fallen through. So somewhere around November, I think is roughly when the fight was like done. They were not going to fight. Okay, we're in December. So that's about a little around a month ago, month and a half, depending on what part of November they fell through. And if they were supposed to fight in November or December of this year, he should still be in somewhat shape because he should have been getting ready for that fight to be happening at the end of this year. And what I'm seeing there in those pictures, and someone says, and I hate to read it for you, but Spence loves Burger King. Yeah, James Toney loved Burger King too, and look what happened to him.
Oh, great
anyway,
comparison.
back to Errol Spence. Yeah, he was not in shape. That's probably another reason why the fight fell through, is because they knew that Errol wasn't going to be ready, that he was not already in shape, he wasn't already in the gym, and he wasn't ready for that. He wasn't going to be ready for this fight by December, looking like that.
Well, let me ask you guys this though: is it possible that if you're eating crap every day and drinking, because he's a drinker too, he goes out and parties. Although I don't think he drinks beer. Beer is the one that really gets the weight on, not so much the vodka and all that. Well, let's say he's eating fast food every day, sometimes maybe even twice a day, right? Do you think that 3 weeks is enough for him to look the way he looks in this picture here that I'm going to put up? You think it's possible? Maybe in other words, I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. Is it possible he was in shape for the fight or in relative shape? And then once it fell through, he says, well, let me go back to enjoying life. And he's just wolfing every day. He was wolfing Burger King down.
Yeah, probably. Probably. But the problem is, it's not so much how he looks. Is can he cut down to 147? Can he make the weight comfortably? That's the problem. Because I listened to Eric Morales on his podcast nowadays. Maybe that was a different era. But for those guys to cut down to the weight they used to fight, sometimes it was difficult for them. And they had to call specialists like trainers like Nacho Bedenstein to hey man, I need to drop a half a pound. And they would cover them up in blankets, kind of like we talked about, like the sauna effect. And then drink a little piece of ice or whatever. Put a piece of ice in your mouth for whatever reason. Like they're those type of techniques. Can this guy even make fucking 147? We don't know. He might cut down to 149 and I'm fit, whatever. But then it's like what's this guy's name? Shakur Stevens says, I can't do it anymore. It comes to a point where your body just can't make it.
That's an excellent point. Yeah,
he's
because
right.
We're talking about
Marco Antonio Barrera was going to get a shot at, I think, 19 years old at a belt down at, I think it was 115. And he could not lose 2 pounds. The lowest he could get down to was 117. And he just couldn't lose his last 2 pounds. Remember, he's only 19 years old. He jumped up to 122, and the rest is history. But that was a growing boy at the age of 19 whose cells were still growing. It may have been easy for him to cut weight, but there was a point in time when your body says, I can't do this anymore. Spence was fighting an amateur at, I forget how many kilograms, but it translates into roughly 152 pounds. Even though that was quote-unquote welterweight, when you change kilograms over to pounds to make it international, the max weight is 152. And nobody goes in on purpose lighter than their opponent. So he was weighing close to those pounds each time. Then he turns pro and drops back down to 147. He also turned pro semi-late in his 20s, roughly around 22 if memory serves. So I could be wrong. Chat room, please chime in and tell me if I am. But by the time he got his title shot, he was between 25 to 27. That was his peak in his prime. He's well past that. He hasn't been active. He's had numerous injuries. And to be honest with you, other than the featherweight of Mikey Garcia, all of his fights, he's been hit relatively easily, often, and some of the fights have been rough. I mean, Ugas's knockout percentage is under 40%, and he still knocked him around the ring a good bit. Now, he handily beat him up, don't get me wrong, but when they were going toe-to-toe, he was tagging Spence up with some shots rather easily. Danny Garcia in the last 4 rounds of that fight was landing the right hand pretty regularly. There are people that think that Porter won that fight, and that's basically. And then of course, Kell Brook pieced him up pretty well, even though he still won. So, with all that said, he's had a lot of fights, a lot of wear and tear, a long amateur career, and he's been cutting down from his amateur weight of almost junior middleweight his whole career. And then he looks like that at 32, almost 33. Yeah, I pretty much think that his days at 147 are almost done.
Yeah, man, because look, Gonzalo's, he said it as well, too. That's the question we should be asking. Not can he beat Crawford? Is Crawford going to fight? How much is Spence going to struggle to make 147? And there's evidence out there to make us ask the question. Look, he got into an accident in 2019 because he was drunk, and he's lucky he got away with probation. After that accident, he goes to fight Ryan Garcia, and before that fight, he goes on an interview with the PBC, and he says, look, I could have stopped Mikey Garcia, I could have stopped Sean Porter, but I didn't have the gas tank to do it because I wasn't taking those fights, the training seriously, and I had to cut weight a lot, and I wasn't at my best. So thinking, okay, maybe the near-death accident and him coming back woke him up and said, hey, appreciate what you've got now. No, we saw him at one of the Virgil Ortiz fights in 2022, I believe, looking drunk. Now we see him mumbling and slurring, being held up like a baby by some Instagram thought. Now we see him looking in like the Michelin Man. I mean, it's indicative of a guy that might not, like Gonzalo's correct, and Chief too. Yes, he can make 147, because that's always what the Errol Spence fans say. Well, yeah, but he's making 147. Yeah, but how much of that is it taken out of him? He's admitted it himself. You can make all the excuses you want for him, but he's admitted it himself. In fact, he just like I said, he said it recently. He said it's getting hard to make 147. So he's telling you he's forcing himself to make that weight. A 32-year-old who's got a party lifestyle is telling you that he can't make the weight easily. You don't think that's bad? You don't think that's taking something out of him? Look at Josh Taylor too. He had an awful performance against Jack Catterall. It takes something out of you. So going into if he fights Crawford, which I don't think he is, you're telling me going into the biggest fight of his life against the guy that can crack, you're not going to be thinking about that weight? Come on.
Mr. BDA.
Yeah, go ahead, Chief.
No. You go first, because what I'm going to say is has less to do with weight. So you go first, Gunzo.
It's taking something out of him, and that's dangerous. I mentioned it before because I believe it's true. Like Julio Cesar Chavez said, that's just an example. Think of, okay, I'm not going to mention what he said, but just think of that fight with Mildred Taylor. But also think of like Muhammad Ali when he fought Joe Frazier. When you're at the brink of death after fighting 12, 15 rounds back in the day, for example, what I'm basically saying, when it's taking something out of you and you're cutting down to the weight, but then you usually go rounds because you ain't knocking fools out any longer. No man down. So when you're in the 11th and the 12th round with the war against a guy that can't crack, and then you lose all the water inside your body, where it's basically you're dry and there's no fluid to surround the skull, and it's basically like putting an egg in a cup to where, like, if you move it from side to side, there's nothing that can protect that brain. That's why he acts dopey the way he is. I think he's already damaged goods, and you compound the fact that he drinks alcohol, it hurts the liver, plus all the medications that he was taking after the accident, that also puts the liver under stress. That's bad. That's bad for Errol Spence.
Excellent points, Gonzalo. Excellent points. Hey, Chief, let me
piggyback what Gonzalo is saying.
Real quick, you guys take over.
What I was going to say.
You guys take over. I'll be right back. Right? I'll be listening. I'll be right back.
Roger that.
You guys keep going.
So to piggyback off you, Gonzo, I think it's cognitive. I don't think it's just him drinking too much. Like you said, cutting the weight. So these long wars he's been in, the fluid in the brain isn't as dense to have your brain bounce around. He had a long amateur career. Coming up through the pros, he was sparring with the Charlo brothers. He sparred with Virgil Ortiz. These guys can punch. And then the fights he's been in have been pretty much, most of them have been close to wars. I mean, the Brook fight was a war. The Porter fight was a war, even though he handily beat up Ugas. Ugas got a lot of good shots in, and they were trading regularly. A lot of his fights were easy when he turned pro. Again, he was close to his peak. But since he's won the title, he had a couple easy wins in Campo. Easy fight with Mikey because Mikey didn't try, and an easy fight with Peterson, who's a junior welterweight and was one fight away from retiring, so he walked right through him. Aside from that, every other fight he's had has been somewhat of a war and long amateur careers, a lot of cutting weight, a lot of drinking, which kills your brain cells, a lot of medications, and if he's over-medicating himself based off of what he's being prescribed, that can take a toll on your brain. I think, like you said, Gonzalo, we're seeing cognitive situations. He may not necessarily quote unquote be drunk when we're seeing him at these events. I think he has. I think this is an early sign of cognitive difficulty.
I think so too. Did you see how old is Razor? Not Razor Ruddock. Who's the guy that threw the belt into the trash can against Lennox Lewis? Riddick Bowe. Man, I was surprised even Holyfield, man, those two guys, they fucking went downhill like real quick. I know Riddick Bowe's probably in like his mid-50s, but he only had 32 fights, Riddick Bowe. This guy, the way his fighting style, plus having to cut down all that weight and taking punches at the same time, puts your body under a lot of stress.
Yep. Well, and then in addition to Razor Ruddock, I don't know if you guys keep up with Terry Norris. I met him at the Hall of Fame, and when I saw him, I rushed over to go talk to him. And when I shook his hand, and his face brightened up, and then I was like, "Oh, I didn't get to make it for you. Congratulations, champ! It's so good to meet you." And it took him probably 30 seconds to say thank you. It's nice to meet you, and it broke my heart. Now, a lot of boxers get to this stage. Marlon Starling is starting to show signs of some cognitive stuff. But he had almost 50 fights by the time he fought Mark Breland. There's reasons for this, some of this. But this guy's got less than 30 fights. He shouldn't be quite at this level yet.
Yeah, my buddy, he told me a long time ago, Chief, that he shook Terry Norris' hand when Terry Norris was in his prime, and he said his hands were like steel, man. That he had like a fucking tough-ass grip.
His hands are enormous for a junior middleweight.
Yeah, man, the fucking Terry Norris. That sucks. What happened to him? Yeah.
Yeah, he was one of my favorites, and I really think that you guys know me. I'm definitely a big fan of yesteryear. But I firmly believe that 147 to 154, if he were fighting the day, he would be. I know everyone said he was kind of chinny. I don't think the guys today hit as hard as Simon Brown and Julian Jackson and the guys that actually floored him and put him down. So I'm not positive that anybody today could beat him.
Well, you know what, man?
The thing.
Real quick, man.
Go ahead, BD.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something because I heard what you guys were talking about the Errol Spence and how he might be. You guys are saying that he already might be showing signs of being punch drunk. Here's another thing we got to take into account: the training. We see Errol Spence taking punches in his fights, and you have to wonder, what if he's sparring the same way, or even worse? Because I've seen clips of Terence Crawford, like I said. We were talking about whether he's got a guard or not. I spoke of the video of him at that famous gym in New York, and he was sparring, and he was fighting like Winky Wright. Gleason's, yeah, thank you. He was just blocking shots, and a lot of he was sparring Carlos Adames, and he was breaking through Crawford's guard, snapping his head back. And if a guy the sparring is really what's gonna take years off of you if you don't do it properly. If you're just putting up a guard and you're thinking, oh, I got my headgear, I got the big ass 16-ounce winning gloves, I'm gonna be okay. Yeah, but your head is still getting rattled. Whether it gets snapped back or not, if your brain is getting shaken up, it's liable to damage it. It's liable to create little fissures. And that's what gets people fucked up. I don't know how else to say it, excuse me, but that's what really taxes guys and takes years. I mean, just look at Muhammad Ali. He used to, he fell in love with the rope-a-dope and would just do that in sparring and take shots that he shouldn't be taking. And some people speculate that that's where he got Parkinson's. So, yeah, man, Errol Spence, he's probably getting having wars in there, and that might be taking its toll on him. But anyway, listen.
I definitely think that it's going to catch up with most fighters. Very few fighters don't have some kind of cognitive slurring of the speech or something as they get older. Some football players do too, especially the running backs. It just happens when your head takes a lot of trauma. It's going to happen. They're making this choice to risk their life, and we do appreciate it for our entertainment. But when you're taking this much of it, I mean, I'm sorry. You can put him on a pound-for-pound list. I don't argue with that. You can say that he's one of the best of this, probably the best of this era at welterweight. I don't argue with that. But he's not elusive by any way, shape, or form. Even Manny Pacquiao didn't get hit clean that often. He'd pick shots off. Cesar Chavez would bob and weave, make you hit the shoulders and elbows, and would bob and weave. He wouldn't take the shots as cleanly as some people think. This man is taking them extremely clean. And he's taking them from guys that aren't huge punchers, but they're not feather-fisted either. Danny Garcia is not a huge puncher, but he's very crisp and very sharp. And he knocks your head back. If your head's getting knocked back, he's jarring something. He may not knock guys out, but these kind of punches are going to take an effect. And with all the shots he's taking, cutting weight, drinking, medications, car wrecks, and the one that flew his freaking body out of a car bounced off the sidewalk a couple times. I'm telling you now, I think this is more cognitive than it is alcohol, not to dismiss the fact that their alcohol could be one of the reasons why.
Right. Yeah, you're right. I mean, which one it is up for debate because we don't know. But yeah, go ahead, Gonzalo. What?
Yeah, I was going to say, and what if he moves up to 54? Things change because, you know, like, for example, just by comparison, when Julio Cesar Chavez moved up to welterweight, I mean, it kind of got tough for him. I don't think he ever became a champion. But okay, now, a lot of guys don't find success when they move one division north. But the problem here, when you move up from 47 to 54, not only are you moving up division, you're also exchanging your 8-ounce gloves for 10-ounce gloves. And if you're Terrence Crawford and you weren't fucking knocking fools out like you thought at welter, it's going to become a little bit less probable. Even when you might say, okay, that's just 2 ounces. But you're not used to fucking being in the ring with 10 ounces. It's not the same as 8 ounce. I would say there's a slight difference, but then you're also facing bigger punchers. So, man, that dynamic changes. Yeah, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but that goes for Crawford and for Errol Spence. So, I mean, this is what happens when you've had all these lows in your career. That now your options are becoming a little thin, and people are watching the way you're moving. It's very easy to pick apart how his career is going to go on. It's going to go on from here on out.
You're right, man. You're absolutely right.
We thought that the Pacquiao Mayweather, like him, they're not fighting each other, and that charade went on for like 5 years. This is like already on the level of Pacquiao Mayweather, or even worse.
You're right, man. You're absolutely right. It is worse because it's not as big a fight and it's still not happening. And they're acting like it's a Pacquiao Mayweather and it's not. So we'll see what happens with Errol Spence, man. Hey, real quick, man, let's move on to Regis Prograis because that's another guy that's in the news now. He had a terrific performance against Cepeda. Then they started negotiating for well, I don't know if negotiating is the right word, but they started talking about a fight against Ramirez. And now apparently Jose Ramirez didn't like the fact that the purse bid went against him, meaning Prograis would get the bigger share. And Ramirez is saying, or I think his fans are saying, well, it's because he's the star, so he should have received the bigger share of the pie, and therefore it's okay for him not to take the fight. So now apparently he's going to be fighting Richard Comey, and a lot of people are giving him shit for it. What about this? What about Regis Prograis? He's not going to be fighting Ramirez in 2023. It doesn't seem like it. So who do you guys think he's going to fight in 2023? Or do you think he's going to be as inactive as he was in 2021?
Oh, who's his promoter? And what network is he aligned with for him to have a platform? Those are two main questions. The biggest, and I've said this a couple times, Steve Kim's kind of piggybacked off of this. Jimmy's weighed in it too. The biggest problem with these fighters is that there's only one platform that goes year round, and that's DAZN. They deal with more than one company, but they're the ones with the deepest pockets. They're the ones with the regular shows. They're the ones that put the stuff on pretty much year round. I don't know how much ESPN is investing into boxing, even though they're a major conglomerate network. If Prograis isn't signed to anything in particular, then Okay, so you got a title. Congratulations. If you don't have a solid promoter that's going to try and put you out there for people to see you, and you're only going to be on pay-per-views, well, we saw what happens with his pay-per-views. He's not going to sell enough to really make any money. So it's not as much of who he's going to fight. It's, are they going to make it to where people are going to want to see him? In order to do that, they have to put him where he can be seen. If they do that, I have a feeling he can fight Comey coming up, because Comey's going to be the first one to jump up and say, hey, I'll take a fight. I'll get a payday. And Regis is going to say, sure, I need the work. And then someone's saying, some rando guy saying Teo versus Regis win. I think that's if Regis is somewhere associated close to Bob, that'll happen pretty soon, because they're going to want to test Teo against someone before they put him in with Taylor, if Taylor sticks around. And it's an action fight. And the downside for Top Rank is if Regis wins, we've already seen Regis once. And is anyone going to pay for it again? As good as the fight as it was, is anyone going to pay for it again? Do they want to see a retread, or they want to see something new? But as far as based off of the good performance, based off the fact he's an action fighter, based off the fact he's got a title now, I think he'll have a good year. It may not be a stellar year with the way boxing is going, but that's the nature of the sport versus his decisions. I think that he'll get some action, because people are going to want a title fight, and they're going to think that he's vulnerable because he's an action fighter, gets hit. So he'll get some action this year.
Well, hopefully, man. And Gonzalo, we talked about it in the last show about how Ramirez, it seemed like that Taylor loss, Buck broke him, and he's looking disheveled now. He's looking like a homeless guy. Like, surround him with a bunch of dogs in the street, and he looks like a homeless guy in El Distrito Federal. What do you think, Gonzalo, with this Regis Prograis and Ramirez thing?
Yeah. They shook him up. No, oh, by the way, there was an earthquake in Northern California.
No kidding.
Yeah, it shook him up pretty bad. This, like, yesterday morning, or I don't know, I'm in the Philippines, but I read like a 6.4. Yeah, so it shook him up pretty bad. Yeah, the dude from Avon. Oh, by the way, Avon knows the pistachio capital of the world, where Jose Ramirez is from. I was eating pistachios the other day, and I looked it up. I was like, oh, really? Look at pistachios. Yeah, delicious. Man, he decided to step away from the Prograis fight, because I think it was going to be a purse split of 65-35, and I think Jose Ramirez got married. Hopefully he wasn't wearing that suit that the bum was wearing when he got married. Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's weird, man.
So,
yeah.
It looks like a duck, because Regis Prograis is looking stronger than ever. And when I say stronger than ever, he's the opposite of the welters as far as like making and cutting the weight. He's getting older. He's making the weight at 140 more comfortable than ever, and he looks like he belongs in that weight. And you guys know as well as I do, and everybody listening, sometimes the champions like Julio Cesar Chavez, Floyd Mayweather, that really don't blow up. I know that with Mayweather, like the whole IV thing, but what I'm basically saying, the guys that look like they belong in their weights, Manny Pacquiao, that really don't blow up, are the best fighters. And this guy looks like he's sitting comfortable at 140. And a lot of people are saying, well, if you ain't going to get challenged at 140, you should move up to the 147. But he said it himself, that division is tied up. That what's supposed to be the glamour division, they ain't making it happen. They ain't making it happen. The division is getting held hostage. So at 140, there's a lot of contenders, and the good thing that he's the champion now. And he's with Richard Schaefer, and he's fighting in the BLK promotion. But whether he gets a big fight or not, that's just going to depend on the public who buys the fights to see him, because he's certainly entertaining. So I mean, he's not lacking anything in the ring that you should ask yourself, why is he not being successful? He should be successful, and people should want to go for his title because he's a champion now, right?
That's right. Yeah, listen, like you said, he's not a back foot bitch, so hopefully he deserves to get some big fights in 2023. We got a phone call here. Let's go back to the phone lines. Give us 2 predictions for 2023. Let's go to 323. You're on the air. 323. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, you guys? Well, you know, I'm really excited about the future for Regis Prograis. I watched the fight in the lead up to the fight with Josh Taylor, and I remember I was watching It was back when I was listening to more of Teddy Atlas before he went full MMA. But they interviewed Prograis, and I saw the fight. I thought it was really good. I thought it was the moments where Prograis. I mean, if you gave those two a rematch, I think watching Regis now, oh man, like Gonzalo said right now, he's looking really strong. He's looking sharp, and he just looks very confident. And I think there's big money fights to be made. I'm not really upset about the him not fighting Jose right at this moment. Mm-hmm. I think that guy has a lot to overcome. I think that defeat with Josh Taylor just really it knocked it out of him psychologically. But I think Prograis just bounced back from that loss, and I think he's going to be the future of the 140-pound division. Especially just how the beta. So I don't know what do you guys think about how what opponent he should take on next. I was hearing that it could be that bum. I don't really like the guy, Adrian Broner, but that guy can't make 140. When's that guy going to make 140 again? How's that guy going to make 140? He's always like a slob when he's not training. So I don't see that guy making 140 at all.
Did you hear he said that when they asked him, do you think you can become an elite 147 pounder? He goes, I'm not an elite. I'm one of the best of all time.
I think that guy's fucking smoking crack somewhere, but that guy's
crystal meth.
That guy's far gone, and I don't want to. It's mean to say horrible things about people with mental health issues like that.
No, it's
obviously the guy's just not there, and he. Although I will say this to his credit, if you did put him in a fight with Prograis, I think that fight would sell just because. He's got notoriety. He's a little bit more popular, I think, than Jose. I mean, then again, in the West Coast, if the fight was in LA or something, you'd probably get a pretty good turnout.
Yeah.
So I don't. It's hard to say. It's hard to say, but I don't think Prograis should be taking B-level fights. I think he's a little older now. What is he? 30 years old right now. I think he should start focusing on unifying that division and taking it as far as he can.
Prograis 34, I think. He's not
spring serious?
Yeah.
Oh man, that guy should be looking to fight Josh Taylor, avenge his loss, and move on to Unify or something, man, because it's not going to get any easier.
Listen, one thing I like about Regis Prograis, because I've been seeing his I've watched his videos, the behind the scenes and all that, and the way he fights, and he trains like a maniac, and it shows in his fights, because the way he fought against Josh Taylor, it was a back and forth inside fight, and the guy who had the gas tank to go all 12 rounds, so he didn't look all that tired. Yeah. So this guy's in fantastic shape. No. He keeps himself in shape, so I don't think he's going to be suffering the same effects that we're seeing with Errol Spence.
Yeah, and you know what? Another thing, I do follow Prograis on I've been following him on Instagram, and the guy stays in shape. Like I've never seen him just get out of shape or party or do any of that kind of stuff. So I think he's a real deal. I believe in his ability, and I like the way he fights. He's a crafty fighter, and he's a tough guy, man. He's as tough as they come.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. He's 33, but he's gonna be his birthday's in January, so within the next month he's gonna be 34. Well, listen, man, we gotta move on here. But yeah.
Thanks for having me on, you guys. Great show, and really enjoy listening.
Thank you, man. Thank you for calling in, man. Really appreciate it. Catch you on the next one. Have yourself a Merry Christmas too, by the way. All right, man.
You too, from the Don Madrazos family to you guys. Thank you.
Oh, Don Madrazos. All right. Thank you, Don Madrazos. Shout out to you.
Don Madrazos.
I get confused. We got Don Madrazos. We got Don Chingazos. I'm starting to get confused with all the Dons here. But shout out to him for calling in. And real quick, I want to give a shout out to Rat Pack Trucking Company. Really appreciate it. He says, Mr. BDA, who do you think is the most beautiful female professional boxer? Well, I don't follow female professional boxing all that much, but I am familiar with that blonde chick. She's got a nice body, but I will say there's another one that people keep bringing up in the Discord. Shit, I forget her name. She's the one that she loves to lick her lips in between rounds. And I got to tell you, I don't mind that at all. But I don't know her name. So if somebody can bring it up. I tell you what, though, MMA, my answer would be for MMA, it would be a Cyborg. That I'm kidding, of course. I'm kidding. If you know who she is, I'm kidding around about that. But I'm not going to make fun of her too much because I did hear that she cried when Joe Rogan made fun of her during one of his podcasts. So, that's, these people have feelings too, man. Just because they're fighters and celebrities doesn't mean that we get to make fun of them all the time. Although I will make fun of them every once in a while.
Yeah, sounds like a nice lady, that Cyborg.
Yeah, well, she's not busting a guy's balls.
Attractive female boxers. Regina Halmich was easy on the eyes back in the day.
Oh, you got to go back to the day, huh? Yeah. Well, listen, from today, though, I want to see if people can actually give us the name of that woman that I was talking about. But listen, as it pertains to Regis Prograis, hopefully, I think he's going to walk away from 2023 with wins. I don't see him losing, especially because I don't think he's going to be able to secure the biggest fight out there. So I think he's going to be it's pretty sure that he makes it out of there with a pristine record for 2023.
Yeah. You know what I like about his style, BD? His style, he can crack, and if he wanted to like strictly punch, he could be that. But he's not he's opposite of a one-trick pony. He's a guy that has power, but learn how to box as well. So he's not only solely relying on the power. When he needs to bust out the big guns, I'm not saying bust them out, knock the dude out. But when it comes to maybe I need to slow it down, let me take my time, let me move my head, get it out of the way, but still get the knockout. Hey, definitely incorporate the whole boxer thing into your style, boxer puncher.
Absolutely. By the way, people are saying that the woman's name is Sky Nicholson. Yep, that's the one. Yeah. Hold on a second. Is this the one? Yeah, this is her, yeah. Pretty good. I like what I see. Let me tell you, I could definitely work with that. No problem at all. But anyway, listen. This is a family show, and it's a God-fearing show, so we're not going to get too much into that. Hey, speaking of God-fearing, a guy who has a strong faith, Vasyl Lomachenko, he only fought once this year, and he didn't look as dominant as he's used to, although he pulled off the win quite convincingly, in my view, although some people would say otherwise. But now, here's the thing that's going on with him. He's going to be fighting Devin Haney. Top Rank and Bobar have been saying, yes, we're working on it. We just got to work out certain kinks. But now Devin Haney, a couple of days ago, came out, and this seems to be a recurring theme for Devin Haney, a lot of complaining in public, a lot of complaining on Twitter. Now he's saying that he wanted to fight. He says, I told Top Rank that I wanted to fight before Ramadan, the Muslim holiday. And so that would be before March. But apparently, Top Rank wants to make that fight afterwards because they don't want to go up in March. Is March Madness, I believe, or some other. I think football or basketball is going to be conflicting with that. So they don't want to do that since they're working with ESPN as well.
It would definitely be basketball, yes.
Right. Okay. So Devin Haney is making throwing a public tantrum again. This guy keeps pulling out tantrums all the time. It seems to be a recurring thing with him. Fellas, what do you think about that situation? What do you think about Lomachenko versus Haney? Do you think Lomachenko walks away with all the belts in 2023?
Well, let's start with Devin Haney's attitude. He's been a prima donna his entire career because he turned pro at 17 and got ranked by his early 20s. And so he thinks he's the heir apparent, and he doesn't realize that star power has to come with skill. And he just doesn't have... He has following based off of various factors, which we're not going to go into. But there's nothing about him that I've said this before. There's nothing about him that's special. And what I mean by that is we've seen him before. It doesn't mean he's not good at what he does. It doesn't mean he's not great at what he does. But I saw Mildred Taylor. I saw Tyrone Crawley. I saw guys like this before. And that's what he is. So there's nothing different about him that makes me say I've got to see his next fight, unless it's me wanting to see him lose, and I'm too old to fall for that trap anymore. However, that being said, I'm one of the people on this panel that's actually saying that I think that Loma might have finally gone far enough to where he's ripe for the picking, and because of the size, Haney can pull this off. I don't want it to happen, but based off what I saw in Loma's last fight, Loma can still pull this off. Don't get me wrong, but it's not going to be. There's no filling out process of I'm going to be able to give away even 2 or 3 rounds. He's going to have to try and win every round of that fight in order to win. And if he doesn't, I can see him coming up short. I could just see Haney grabbing a lot. Given I know that Loma's really good at throwing the uppercut during the clinch, but I'm sorry, Haney's not an idiot. He may not be a huge boxing IQ, but if you hit him a few times with that, he'll just find a way to smother you even more if he has to. Because his game plan is, I have no inside fighting game. If you pin your arms against yourself, I can beat on your body like Tyson used to. But the second you put a glove on me, I'm going to clinch with you and I'm going to hold until the ref says break. And if you get inside my reach and I can't defend myself, I'm going to clinch until the ref says break. I'm going to hold both arms. I'm going to put the vice grips on you. I'm going to do what Mayweather used to love to do and grab and push your head down, which is completely illegal. Or I'm going to hold and hit like Junior Jones used to do. So either way you look at it, the much bigger, naturally bigger, and possibly weight bullying Haney, because I guarantee he's going to be over close to 140 pounds, if not, close to 147. He'll be over 140 the next day weigh-in, I guarantee you.
Oh, yeah.
Is going to lean on Loma and make him work anytime they get close, and if Loma can't get off first.
Yeah, I think he's going to be in the 150s. I think it's going to be higher than 140s. Gonzalo, what do you think?
Yeah, man, I agree with Chief totally. I was thinking the same thing. He cannot give away any of the early rounds. I mean, take a round or 2 to figure it out, but pull your car out of the driveway before the fucking 6th round. Because, it's going to be difficult for him to get past that jab. We know it. We saw it with Linares. Yeah, Linares, old and whatever, but to get past that jab, it's still a quick jab. It's not going to be easy, but it's at some given moment, you got to take that leap of faith or do what you do to get past that jab. And I think that Haney's people, his dad, they're pretty shrewd. They don't want to give Lomachenko the necessary time. And I know a training camp is 8 weeks usually, but we know this guy trains differently. He has a lot of he does a lot of mental preparation. So whatever Lomachenko does, he needs to show up in the best Lomachenko possible, the optimal Lomachenko in order to win. And I think he needs time to do that. So it's already going to be January. By March, man, that's 8 fucking weeks. You need to give this guy a little bit of I don't know, May, 10, 12 weeks to prepare mentally and be the best Lomachenko possibly. Yeah, don't get burned out in training with the physical stuff, but with the mental stuff, you got to be in your best frame of mind. And he could win too, but Haney's going to make it difficult because he's a younger guy. He got good legs. He's athletic. And when Lomachenko tries to collapse the pocket, basically what Haney's going to do, he's going to mirror him with the legs, with his athleticism. He's going to try to keep him outside with the jab. So as of right now, being that Lomachenko's a smaller guy, it's a 50-55 for me.
I'll tell you what, man. One thing I didn't like about Lomachenko that he's going to have to figure out from the Jermaine Ortiz fight is what both of those guys like to do, Ortiz and Haney, is to dip down to the right. And Lomachenko was overshooting the distance and falling into clinches against, so in other words, what I'm saying is he would come in with the 1-2 or try to do the 1-2-1, and Jermaine Ortiz would just dip to his right, duck to his right, and Lomachenko would clash against him, and then Ortiz would use his lead hand to wrap it around Lomachenko's torso, and boom, a clinch. And we know Devin Haney loves to clinch. So that's something that Lomachenko's going to have to watch out for. And you guys are right, too. He's going to have to start working from the get-go. No more, take 5 rounds to download the information. Although I think the only time he really did do that, which, taking that many rounds off, was against Teofimo Lopez, and that was because he was injured. He didn't take that many rounds off against Ortiz. And I also don't think that Haney's going to move as much as Ortiz was. Ortiz likes to he likes to put his lead hand, he likes to put his lead foot back and then pivot away. So he's essentially galloping away. Devin Haney doesn't do that all that much. And being the heavier guy, being the fact that he himself is complaining that he can't make 135 that much anymore, it might affect his ability to move around that ring a lot. So I'm not. People are looking way too much into the Ortiz fight and thinking that Loma's done, that it's going to be easy for Haney. Believe me, the fact that Haney was clinching that much against Kambosos in the rematch, just because Kambosos was putting more pressure, doesn't bode well for the fact that he's going to be fighting a much better guy in Lomachenko. Hey, before we continue with that, fellas, let me go to a phone call here because somebody's been on hold for almost 10 minutes now. So I'll get back to you, but let's go to 424. You're on the air. 424. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mr. BDA.
Yes,
this is
424.
Joseph. I've been a fan. I've been listening for quite a few years, probably since the beginning. Just recently started to call in. But I got a list of predictions for 2023.
Fantastic. Let's hear them.
You want to hear them?
Absolutely.
Right. If it happens, hey, all of a sudden, Haney is praying 5 times a day. I don't believe it. But Loma beats him. Depending on the ref. If he gets a ref that don't allow the fucking clinching, Loma beats him. Next prediction. Crawford beats Spence. He's just too fluid and he hits too hard.
Oh.
He knocks him out. Virgil beats Stanionis in a good fight. Boots Ennis finally gets a fight. He gets a fight with a live one, but I don't know who it'll be. But he has to fight somebody important. Fury beats Usyk. I mean, he's just too big. And they're going to fight in an 18-foot ring. Anyway, beats Fulton. He takes his crown, and he goes on. He's not going to unify in 2023, but by 2024 he will.
All right.
Zoo and Charlo. That's a pick 'em. I can't pick that one.
Oh, come on.
You want me to?
Yeah.
You call me a racist. I'll go with Zoo.
All right, there you go, racist. That's a nice white prediction right there.
Exactly. I'm from your neighbor. I'm from Buffalo, New York, but I'm living in LA.
Oh.
And that's
Buffalo,
not
New
too
York.
far away
That's
from you. I've been to Montreal.
That's the home of the great filmmaker Vincent Gallo. Although he doesn't have much good things to say about Buffalo, but hey, listen, Buffalo, man. I remember I've been around Buffalo when I go to Niagara Falls there. So yeah, man, I can look across the river when I go over there, or the lake, whatever the fuck it is, and say hi, wave hi to you.
The river, Niagara River. It's all ghetto. You look over across from the Canadian side to the American side, you see ghetto.
No, well, I'll take that into account next time I go to Niagara Falls. All right, so you said Fury too big for Usyk. You said Jaron Ennis finally fights somebody with a heartbeat, but you don't know who's going to be. You said Virgil beats Stanionis. You said Crawford too. By the way, do you think Errol Spence is a drunk? Because that's what we were trying to get at here, or that he's not taking
you know what? I don't think it matters. Some people can handle alcohol, some people can't. I shouldn't figure it out because he chose if he is hitting the bottle hard, that's his choice. Right?
Yeah.
Diversity.
You're right. Listen, everybody needs a drink every once in a while. People make a big deal out of it.
Yeah, I don't know. You can't believe everything you hear.
I agree.
But I don't think he has the style to beat Crawford.
Well, there you go.
I just don't think so.
Well, listen, we got your predictions.
And
yeah,
we're gonna go to. If you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, man.
Hello. All right. I want to. Lopez, Teo called out Regis. I want to see that one. I hope it happens because Teo will get knocked the F out.
Oh. Well, listen, I want to see that fight too, man. Hopefully it happens.
He doesn't have what it takes. Pardon me?
I said, hopefully it happens. We're going to talk about that next after this Lomachenko thing. But we do have to move on, man.
I would love it for it to happen. I don't think Teo can handle him.
Well, all right. Well,
hey, and Garcia, huh?
Garcia and who?
Ryan Garcia and Tank. They're going to fight in a jail cell.
Wait a minute. What? What's the matter with you?
So Garcia's got to open up. He's got to pick up his inside game.
That's right. Yeah, you're right.
Anyway,
all right. Well, listen.
Bivol beats Canelo again. Then I only got a couple more. Then I'm gone.
All right.
I think Taylor KO's Catterall in a rematch. I just think he was off that night. I also think Gonzalo is going to go 100 with his predictions for 2023.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And Jimmy goes for cognitive behavioral therapy.
What? Why would he need to go for CBT?
He just needs it. He's been involved in too much shit. He's suffered from PTSD.
Yeah, the Twitter will do that to you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, how about
all right. Give me 30 seconds. Bucho quits drinking, and Mr. BDA, you're going to win a Pulitzer Prize, but nobody knows why. And those are my predictions.
This guy, you should write for Letterman. That's what you ought to do. That's my prediction for you. You're going to be writing for Jimmy Kimmel this year. That's my prediction for you, man. All right. Well, listen. Great call.
No, all right.
Great call. I'm going to hold you to those predictions. You made a lot. And yes, you are correct. I do deserve a Pulitzer Prize. That's for sure. Whether I'm going to get it or not is, listen, we're going to see if there's justice in this world. But listen, caller, thank you so much for your call, man. Yeah.
You're welcome. If they give a Pulitzer Prize for who knows why, you'll get it.
Ah, come on. All right, listen. What's your name, by the way? What do we call you?
Joseph.
Joseph.
I'm in the chat once in a while, and I've been a long-time listener.
All right. Well, listen, Joseph, thank you for your call, man. Certainly enjoyed it. Call back next time, all right? Have yourself a Merry Christmas.
Okay, brother.
Take it easy, man. Thank you for your call. Yeah, that was a lot of predictions right there, man. It was funny, too, man. This guy's got a good writer. By the way, a couple of announcements here. Shout out to Senpai Leo, who renewed his membership program for 8 months. He says, Valdez, Navarrete, thoughts, and what happens with Navarrete in 130. Also, I think Haney is a LARPing Muslim. All right, well, let me say a couple of things about that. Hey. Unfortunately, go ahead, Gonzalo. What?
I was just kind of curious who that was. Do you think that was Santa Claus BDA that called?
No, he said his name is Joseph, but he did hesitate a little bit when I told him, who is this? Like, what do we call you? So maybe you might be right. He might be Santa Claus. He didn't want to reveal his identity there. By the way, Senpai, Valdez Navarrete, unfortunately, is not happening. Valdez was injured, so he had to pull out of that fight. But I think, I don't know who I would have picked in that one, man, because I think styles make fights. Haney LARPing as a Muslim, I think in a couple of years, you're going to see him suddenly stop mentioning Islam. That's what I think. I think he's going through a fad. He might turn into a Hebrew Israelite in 5 years. You never know, man. Shout out to Jack, the Kodo fan, Nuff, for his contribution with the super chat. He says, Loma can definitely fight in the clinch too. He certainly can, but he didn't seem to be able to in the early rounds against Ortiz. Ortiz seemed to be getting the better of him in the clinch. And then again, I don't judge punches from the clinch. I don't think they count. But whatever action was going on in there, Lomachenko was getting the worst of it. And then finally he started being mean later on. And shout out to KG for his contribution as well with the super chat. He says, Loma beats Haney like Martin beat fake Ali. Oh, see, there's still people out there that haven't been falling to, they're not putting too much stock in the Ortiz fight. So we'll see what happens with that one. So that's what I wanted to say about Lomachenko. Now, we were talking about Prograis and the Ramirez fight, him being ducked or appearing to be ducked. We'll see what happens this year. So I want to move on to a guy that could potentially face Prograis, and that is Teofimo Lopez, who's had a turbulent year. Fellas, what do you think about Teofimo Lopez? Do you think he gets a big fight in 2023, and do you think he walks away with a loss?
Yeah, I think Jimmy's here.
Oh, the Jimmy Reno's here finally. Jimmy, are you there? He's muted.
Yes, I am.
Oh, Jimmy. All right, hold on a second. You're sounding low, man.
Yes, I am. Am I?
Okay. Now you're good. Jimmy, we're just predicting, we're going through a list of fighters and predicting what's going to happen for them in 2023, whether they lose or whether they win this on the upcoming year. What do you think about Teofimo Lopez? Who do you think he's going to fight in 2023? Do you think he takes on anybody tough? And if so, do you think he walks away with a pristine record?
I don't know. It's kind of hard to, it's like predicting what a crazy girlfriend's going to do.
Oh.
You know what I mean? It's like, because there's so much, just a lot of emotions with this kid. You don't know where his head's going to be at. He has the ability, he has the power to do things. It's just, we need to see what he's going to look like up against one of the big, he just went against Sandor Martin. He's probably the lightest punching guy at 140 he could have faced.
Mm-hmm.
And he got put down because he overextended himself, put all his weight out of his front foot, jumping in at him. And I go back, I think that's because I wasn't here for the early, I was listening, but I was doing some community service thing because of this incident with a prostitute I don't want to talk about. But
no, wait a minute, what?
I'm just kidding.
Okay.
But no, going back with Plant, what Plant has to do with Benavidez is frustrate him. Okay, because remember with that kid when he got put down, Benavidez, it was because he got lazy.
Wait.
He got frustrated or he was trying to land a certain shot. I'm just going back. I want to go real quick to those. Just going to say Plant, that's what he's going to do. He has to frustrate him, and I think Plant's going to make a big fight of that. I'm with Gonzalo. I'm done on that. And tell Teofimo Lopez, yes, I believe he's going to have a big win. I'm going to pull for the kid. I'm going to be optimistic. I want to send good energy his way.
Wait a minute. So that's going to be your New Year's, what do they call it? The New Year's resolution. You're going to, instead of shitting on the guy, you're going to try to prop him up.
Yes, I'm going to try to be supportive. Now
let me ask you this,
because he's been a punching bag for too long.
Well,
I know it's
let me ask you this though:
inflicted, but
if he gets success, do you think he would give credit to you and say thank you for believing me, or do you think he's going to stick to the narrative and say,
no, he'd probably block me on Twitter and then tell Bob fucking he wants big money now and he's being fucked over. No, you don't know how he's going to act. I know you were joking about giving me credit, but he beat Lomachenko and look what he did to his own career off that win. Instead of saying that's a great win, let's build off it. He drove his fucking career into the ground. Suddenly he's fucking pay-per-view. I want fucking 10 million. See, Bob was ripping me off, airing his fucking dirty laundry, blowing up. He's lucky Bob and them even, Top Rank even took him back into their fold. He's lucky they didn't tell him to kick rocks after that bullshit he pulled. So we'll see with him. But, I just don't, and then it depends on all the fights. I missed the last 40 minutes. I know. Did you guys go over all the 35s and shit too?
Well, hold on, because I want to hear from the other guys too about Teofimo Lopez.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right.
Guys, what do you think that if you want to piggyback of what Jimmy said, Teofimo Lopez, what do you see happening for him this year or the upcoming year? Excuse me.
Yeah, I don't know if Chief wants to go or okay, I can go. Yeah, it's not going to be like he had it at 135 so much where he was knocking these dudes out like Comey and I forgot the other guy. The guys that weren't really that relevant. I don't even think they were contenders, but Teofimo was getting the knockouts. I still think the power carried, but he's leaping in with all that power and he's getting caught off balance. He's getting dropped. I think he just needs to improve his skills. Get somebody to help him out, to help out his dad in the corner, and he's just gonna have to pick his battles, man, because he can't just go in there thinking he's gonna show all that, like you said, impetus, and knock all these fools out just like he was at 35. And really, his best and most notable win was when he beat Lomachenko. Yeah, and that win did a lot for him. But it's like the flames that burn the brightest, they die out the quickest. And this guy is so inconsistent that for you to ask if he's gonna make it out of 2023 without taking a loss, I would say he wins one and loses one because he's shown that before against the Sandor Martin, against the Japanese dude, and who else? He's been in close fights, man.
Yeah. Listen, the Teofimo Lopez at 140, he can still crack a little bit. He's got the hand speed. It's really the confidence that he's going to need to boost. And if he fights Prograis, believe it or not, I think he could actually look better against Prograis than he did against Sandor Martin, because at least Prograis is going to try to make it a fight. And I disagree with the people that say that Sandor Martin ran. If you watch that fight, he wasn't running. He was just being very negative in the sense that he wasn't throwing. He was more focused on making Lopez miss and shooting one shot at a time. Prograis is not going to do that. Yes, he's going to try to make Lopez miss, but he's also going to try to reply with a lot more shots. than Sandor Martin. That might open him up in an exchange to get
90 seconds.
Excuse me, sorry about that. So I think it would actually be a better fight. But I don't know if they're going to put him in there against that guy. I think, actually, you guys tell me what you think. I think the best move would be, King KO just said in the chat, Arnold Barboza. Because that's a guy that, even though he's good, he's not as unorthodox as Sandor Martin. And I actually think that could be a better look for Teofimo Lopez. So put him in there against a guy like that, and that's going to get his confidence up. But like Jimmy said, that's the other problem, though. We've seen what happens with a confident Teofimo Lopez. He goes to his head, and he turns into a jackass. And it makes it hard for people to root for him, and it makes it hard for him to take his opponent seriously. Because he turns into a guy that thinks that, hey, the world's my oyster. Everybody get the fuck out of the way. But hopefully he learned his lesson from the Kambosos loss. No, it doesn't seem like it, but we'll see what happens, man. Hey, Jimmy, since you wanted to rewind a little bit, I wanted to ask you, I don't know if you saw the fight this Saturday on Showtime, but Errol Spence was in the building, and Brian Coster interviewed him for Showtime, and they asked him, hey, do you have any idea when you're going to fight next? And he said, maybe April, May, June, maybe December. What do you think is going on? Why is he taking so much? Why is it going to take so much time for him to fight in 2023? All right, Jimmy's cleaning the carpet, the bloodstains from the carpet. I mean, I'm telling you, hookers bleed a lot, man. So he's got to... I don't know where he is. Let's see. Is anybody in the phone? The phone lines are about to be closed. They're closed. All right, so I think we're about to end it then. Because we've been on for about 2... Yes.
Oh, I don't know what the hell's going on with this thing. Sorry about that, BDA. Repeat that real quick. You said about, who was that?
Errol Spence, that they asked him on Showtime.
Errol Spence, the conversation, yeah. Next? What about him fighting? Yes. Yeah, he doesn't know because they don't tell him. Nobody's telling him anything. It's one of those situations, they get a call. This is when you're fighting. Here's the dates. Remember, it's so up in the air right now over at Showtime. They have, they don't know where they're going to, even if they're going to be, when. It's not a question of when, it's a question of, if it's when they're going to be folded into Paramount and you're going to lose the boxing. Another thing that's noticeable, did you see the other play, the Bellator, UFC, MMA? They just signed a partnership or signed a deal with CBS. So that's a big sign. Like all of a sudden they got that deal with Showtime a year ago, and Showtime invested all that money into Bellator. And their big announcement right before the last show of the year was that they're having a big show, the biggest show ever, on CBS.
Whoa!
I didn't know they're using some old timers. So that kind of that made me go, oh, that's a tell. So I don't think he knows. I think they give him an estimation. We're shooting for early spring, that type of thing. You know what I mean? Right. Like that accident with that kid, he walked away from that fine. He's got no residuals, maybe a stiff back, but nothing that would prevent him from fighting in March, or even you know what I mean, or April if he went into a camp now. He's just saying he's taking some time to get, make sure he's healthy because there's no money over at the PBC. They're waiting for the Showtime fucking the Showtime budget, and that's what they have to do, and that's the reason why they didn't make and the shit he said about Crawford was just silly. I mean, you can tell he doesn't even sound confident. I guess March, April. So you're saying it's going to be at least a calendar year since your last fight against Ugas. So now you're a once a year guy. I mean, you can take him for what he is. He is a knucklehead, Adrian Broner, but at least he's honest when it comes to this. He said straight up, people need to fucking wake up over there. They're promising you once a year, once every 18 months, and then that comes along, you don't even get it. Certain guys get priorities. I mean, just look at what they do, and it's another thing, too. Look what they did to Staniozos, again. Passed over him, and it's always for this, his favorite fighters. But yeah, shit's a mess over there at the PBC. I'm not confident that fight with Crawford's going to happen. The same way I'm not confident at all the Stephen Fulton fight's going to happen with Inoue. It's just kind of funny. After 2 years of Stephen Fulton, who I think is a good fighter, just doesn't have a lot of power, 2 years of him unprovokedly going after Inoue, because Inoue wasn't talking about him. It was always, I'd knock him out. He can't beat me. Bop. Always running his mouth about Inoue. The fucking weak Inoue announces he's going up to 122. Now he's in your division, bro. Let's do this. Like you said, I'm going to go to 126 to fight for a fucking baby belt for a tiny fraction of the money he would have made fighting Inoue in Tokyo. For instance, on a tape delay, it was shown like on an HBO type channel in Japan, not this past fight, but the one before that with Inoue. 12 hours later, on a tape delay, when they played it live for the audience, it had 10.2 million people tuned in to watch his fight after it was already shown earlier in the day. That's the kind of fucking viewership number that kid's pulling down in Japan. So imagine what Fulton in Tokyo, you're looking, he'd be earning between 5 and 7 million, whereas he just made 500,000 for his last time against Figueroa. I know he'll be the A side this time, but he's going to chase a baby belt against a rematch that nobody's asking for. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing with the PBC guys. Attach your name to fucking other dudes for the clout, but fight in-house. And I don't see anything changing until they finally get either bought up by somebody else or fold shop.
Yeah, we had some callers. We had callers who said that they're not expecting the Fulton Inoue fight to materialize, which is a shame. But hey, listen, yeah, the problem with a guy like Errol Spence and Fulton and all of those guys, it's the PBC. They don't have any dates. I'm very curious to see if they announce anything in the beginning of the year. Because, hey, listen, you got Tank Davis fighting in 2.5 weeks. That's going to be pay-per-view. The only one that it's not pay-per-view is the, Lopez, excuse me, Timzu versus Charlo. That's going to be on Showtime. So Showtime's still in the business. They're still going, but, I mean, it's doubtful that it's going to continue that way throughout the rest of the year. Now, if I may make some predictions here as we wind down to the end of the show. First of all, excuse me. Shout out to Dennis F. from Boston for his contribution to the Super Chat. He says, will Haney fight Loma? Great show, kids. Well, thank you, Dennis. I always appreciate your contribution. Whether he's going to fight Loma, it seems like it. I'm pretty sure Top Rank is putting a lot of pressure on him. And I don't think they're all that happy about him, like I said, throwing a tantrum in public on Twitter about how Top Rank wants him to lose. Because they're making him fight after Ramadan, which he doesn't want to. He wants to do it before, and he was complaining a lot. So I don't know. Listen, his father, he's got scam artist vibes to him. He's probably telling him, look, listen, let's just. They're probably looking for a way to pull out of the Lomachenko fight. And I think that's also compounded by the fact that Haney looks big. And he himself has said, look, making 135 ain't the easiest thing in the world. So. And again, people are falling for the thing of the Ortiz fight, thinking that Lomachenko looked bad in that one. He didn't look as dominant as he usually does, but I think it was a clear-cut win for him. And I don't know if Haney's all that confident that he can beat, or maybe his father's not that confident. I don't know, but put it this way, I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't materialize and he gets in trouble with Top Rank.
Me either, totally, but... If I may just a little bit, because I had to drop off for a second when you guys were talking about this earlier. Mm-hmm. I've said this on air before. The way I see this one fighting is not because I do think that Loma's a little long in the tooth, but I just think I get a Junior Jones versus Orlando Canizales sense that even though some people are going to think that Loma won, just like I thought Canizales beat Junior Jones, it's not going to be an overwhelming amount because of the holding, the hitting. It's going to look like enough of the quote-unquote action that's actually there is going to be dictated by Haney by trying to pot shot and then hold, and then the rest of it's going to be glancing shots on the inside with people trying to fight for arm position to get free, and it's just going to look like Haney's controlling all that. This is the way I'm seeing it, and that's the reason why I'm leaning towards Haney, even though I know Loma 3 years ago, this wouldn't even be a contest. The Haney now versus Loma 3 years ago wouldn't even be a contest. I don't beseech a man's religion. If he says he's Muslim, then he's Muslim. If he's trying to honor Ramadan, he's trying to honor Ramadan. But I also know that's the reason why Beterbiev only fights mainly once a year. Because it takes about 3 months to get ready for a fight. So if you're going through those sacrifices you have to do for that whole month or for however long that is, it puts a damper on when the fight can happen. Kid's only getting older. He wants to make 135 one more time for one more fight sooner than later. So he thinks he can move on with his career. Those are the two things I had to say about that. Thank you, BDA.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. I will say,
hey, but that wouldn't that be perfect, BDA? Chief, you fasting anyways. You having a hard time making the weight. Yeah, do Ramadan, then you fast at the same time.
Exactly. Why not, man? It all works out. It's God's plan. What's wrong with that? He's listen. The fact that he's complaining. Anytime I hear somebody complaining as much as he does, it doesn't fill me with confidence. Like, Gonzalo, you were in the military. Would you be confident going into war with a guy that's always complaining about everything? Oh, the food. I don't like the food. I don't like these cookies. They're too hard. Why are we eating these MREs? They're not good. Or they smell stale. Blah blah blah. Come on, that doesn't fill you with confidence. Nobody likes a guy that's always complaining. So the Devin Haney complaining doesn't fill me with confidence either. And look, he threw a lot of shots against what's his name, Jojo Diaz, who's the best southpaw he's faced so far, and that was because Jojo Diaz just had his guard up. Lomachenko's got a good guard too, but he's quicker. He hits harder than Jojo Diaz. I'm telling you this. I don't know why people are thinking, oh, Haney's going to school him. We'll see if Haney can do what Ortiz did, because Ortiz was willing to let his hands go, but pity-pat too in between Lomachenko's shots. Haney doesn't do that. I don't know if he can pity-pat.
Ortiz threw that uppercut on the inside a lot, and and I don't know if Haney has an uppercut. I mean, he'll throw it when there's a clear shot that he's not going to get hit back, like Mayweather would. And that's the only comparison I'm going to make between Haney and Mayweather. But what I'm saying is that when there's a clear shot that he can throw a dangerous punch like a compact hook or an uppercut, when he will not get hit back at all, then he'll take that risk. But when they're on the inside, and after Loma throws a few of those uppercuts himself, the only way Haney, I think, will do it is he does have the mentality of, you hit me, I'm going to try and hit you back. And what I mean by that is if he thinks it's a cheap shot, he'll try and hit you back with the same shot. Not necessarily the fact he wants to get one up, because he is a safety first fighter. But he's not going to throw. I don't see him throwing as many uppercuts on the inside that Ortiz did. And that's what was giving Loma the hardest time. And you did point out something that I overlooked. The southpaw stance is going to neutralize some of that jab that Haney's got, so it's not going to be as easy of a fight regardless. It's that clinching thing that I just think that Haney might work into being a factor of the judges leaning towards him.
Yeah, because I remember some people when I brought that up about the fact that Jojo Diaz neutralized Haney's jab, and Haney fans were saying, well, that's to Haney's credit, the fact that he was able to beat him with just the right hand. And I'm thinking, no, you don't understand. It's not like Haney could have thrown the jab. He chose not to. That jab got taken away from him. And these guys are making it seem as if, well, he beat him with one hand. That's good. No, he beat him with one hand, and he struggled to do it because he couldn't throw the jab. It got neutralized. It's not like he had the jab in the back pocket and said, no, you know what, let me actually make it more difficult by just using one hand. And so that's what's going to happen with Vasyl Lomachenko. That southpaw stance is going to neutralize the jab. He's not going to be able to throw it as much as look, Lomachenko's not fucking Kambosos who comes in with his hands down and his chin up in the air. It's not going to happen. So we'll see if the fight happens. I don't know. I'm telling you, I'm not confident with Haney taking this fight. I will say this, though. In terms of predictions for 2023, I think Fury Usyk happens. I think that's one fight where most people aren't all that confident in it. I'm confident in it. I think it happens. I think people are selling Fury short, thinking he's a scam artist that's scared of Usyk. Listen, maybe he's worried about losing, but he's certainly not scared. Usyk's not going to put a beating on the guy. He's not going to hurt him. He's not going to knock him out with one shot. So I don't think he's afraid of that. If anything, he might be afraid of losing, like I said, but he's not afraid I don't think he's afraid of Usyk, and I think the fight's going to happen. By the way, Chief says he's got to go. You're sending me messages in another room there, Chief. You should send them here. But anyway, listen, good to have you on, Buen. We're almost going to go at the same time. So shout out to you, Chief. Enjoy your dinner. Thank you for being on, man.
Thank you, guys. Have a Merry Christmas. If I don't talk to anybody or I don't get on show before then, everyone have a safe Christmas. Love you guys. Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, Chief, to you and your family.
Thank you, Jimmy. Yeah. You too.
You too.
Gonzo, God bless you. And BDA, thank you very much for having me on as always.
Thank you, man. Thank you for being on.
And
Merry
my
Christmas.
daughter's waving goodbye.
All right, take it easy, man. What was I saying then? Okay, so Usyk Fury, I think that happens. Actually, you know which one I'm thinking happens too? Wilder Joshua. I think if Wilder gets past Ruiz, I think maybe PBC cashes him out. Because the things that Joshua has been saying lead me to believe that he's willing to take on Wilder. I think he said something along the lines of, look, we got to make this fight happen. we're from the same generation. It has to happen. So maybe it happens, and man, that would be a fun fight. That would be a fun fight, and I don't know who would pick in that one. I think I'd be going with Joshua, but man, you never know with that right hand. So I think that fight could happen.
What would one of the things that would probably be a driving force in that fight happen to Mr. BDA is the money, right? Where's the money on the PBC side coming from to put Wilder in the ring? I mean, where could Wilder go that's even going to sniff at the kind of money he could make at the O2 against Joshua in England? Because Joshua might have lost twice or three times now, and people can say what they want. That motherfucker still draws. He's still the biggest draw at heavyweight, and he would still pack the place in England. They would still turn out for him. So yeah, I think that's one of the reasons. Normally I would say no, I don't think anything's happened with the PBC, but when it comes to Wilder, I could see that happening because at some point it's either shit or get off the pot. Like, what are we doing here? You got no money, got no no dates for these guys. It's like, so.
No, you're absolutely right, man. And it's interesting looking back at that fight when it could have been made in either 2019 or 2018, and there's still people out there that think that it was Joshua's fault that the fight didn't happen. And whoever was at fault, the fact that this fight could have been made back in the day when they were undefeated and it would have made so much money, it still could, though. But it's just...
Shelly Finkel all but admitted it was their fault. They turned it down because they were stringing him along because they wanted to keep the avenues open. But yeah, they had no intention to making it because he said he wasn't ready yet. His fighter, which is Fury, wasn't ready. Wilder wasn't ready for that fight. He wasn't ready, and he also didn't make the Klitschko too. Same thing with Klitschko. Remember, they strung him along for the longest time. So yeah, but it's time now because really, where else is he going to go? I mean, how many Ruizes is he going to be able to fight over at the PBC? And even then, even if he does fight Ruiz next, he's going to make pittance compared to what he'd make fighting Joshua.
Exactly. It makes sense. I mean, if they need a cash injection or something, or like I said, the fact that they might want to cash Wilder out, especially if Wilder, even if he beats Ruiz, what happens if he looks like shit and they go, well, now we got to get rid of this guy? Because again, keep it in mind, man, Wilder's 35 or 36, I forget which. I know heavyweights age better, but at some point, they're going to want to cash him out or make a big fight with him. They're not. Otherwise, what do they do if he beats Ruiz? What's the next logical step? You know what I mean? Who else do they have in there? Are they going to put him in against Frank Sanchez? Come on, that's not going to sell. So yeah, man, I think there's good chances for AJ versus Wilder happening in 2023. And some people might be saying, BBDA, who cares? Well, I care because I think it's going to be a firefight, and it's certainly going to get people riled up here in the YouTube boxing community. Anyone else got any predictions that they want to make about something, maybe something that would surprise us in 2023?
Let me see. Off the top of my head, let me see. I don't know. Hopefully, with the Canelos wanting to challenge Bivol, again, that kind of gets in between Dimitri Bivol fighting Beterbiev to unify 175. Not too much is going on with the cruiserweights. I mean, heavyweights, yeah, it all revolves around Tyson Fury. I'd love to see that match too.
Well, let me ask you guys this:
Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua. That's a good fight. The lighter divisions, maybe Emmanuel Navarrete. He has to show up. He's been stalling, and let's see who now Lopez fights. That division is there's a lot of Mexicans that hold the titles. I don't know. Let me see. Chocolatito, he's pretty much retired, but Estrada, hopefully he takes a tough challenge. Hopefully he moves up too.
Gonzalo.
Yeah.
Josh Taylor. I got him up on the screen here. What about him?
Josh Taylor, he's kind of been inconsistent. He's got to fight Catterall, clean the record on that, see what happens.
They say it's going to happen in... When does hold on? Does ESPN already have a date on that? Let me check. But what do you guys think about that? About Josh Taylor? You think he's going to redeem himself? You think he's going to show that it was just an off night against Catterall?
He did fire Ben, didn't he? Didn't he fire Ben Davison? That's actually a good sign. So,
oh man,
I think that guy's a train wreck, man. I really do. I just don't think he doesn't know. He doesn't have no clue what he's doing. He's just a motivational speaker who happened to be fucking with boxers. He's riding that, win off with Tyson. And even with that, it was the worst Tyson looked against Wilder because he tried to box him from the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Like if Ben Davison knew anything about boxing, he would say, dude, crowd that big loop and just fucking come down on him. You know what I mean? Like that, he gave him the worst. That was the worst way Fury could have fought him in that first fight. You saw the difference when he fought him recklessly.
That's right, man.
And who was behind that? Who was behind that? Plan. That was Ben Davison's plan. I mean, like you haven't watched Wilder. You don't know that he has absolutely no mid-range inside game at all. So you have your fucking guy fight from the outside with the end of the explosion, his whip like right hand, like just stupid. But then again,
Hey, shout out to Never Sober. Shout out to Never Sober in the chat. He says Bill Haney looks like Jamie Foxx in the beginning of Django Unchained. Yeah, he looks like Gonzalo was saying that Jose Ramirez looks like a bum now. Bill Haney, every time he shows up on the screen, it takes me a second to remember that it's him. And I go, well, who's this homeless guy that's on these streams? Like, oh, it's Bill Haney. But yeah, shout out to Never Sober for his contribution there. But yeah, Jimmy, you're right, man. With Josh Taylor, I think, listen. Whenever a guy looks bad against an unknown opponent or relatively unknown opponent, the question becomes, okay, was the opponent better than expected, or did the A-list guy have a bad night? Sometimes it's a little bit of both. But I know for a fact Josh Taylor has beaten better guys or fought better guys and looked better than he did against Catterall. So maybe Catterall powered up. Maybe Taylor is having a hard time making weight. We'll see what happens, man. They're going to be rematching 43 minutes here. So I think we're going to wrap it up. Can you guys still hear me, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah, BD.
I thought my connection was fucking up. But actually, anything else you guys want to say then before we move on?
No, I'm good. I just would like to see with the holidays, everybody be safe and look forward to, next year. Hopefully we get some fights that we wanted. I just really disappointed. I really wanted that Inoue Fulton fight. Like I stayed quiet on it, but that's the one I was really hoping on because I think Inoue is just going to come into his own. I think he's going to punch like a mule at 122, and I have no proof other than my feeling, just looking at the way he hits people and the concussive power he has. Why else would Fulton... First off, you're the one who says stuff. Usually it's for a reason. Why are you saying that? He's not in your fucking... with you. He's not, with PBC. Why are you constantly... Not constantly, but enough that anytime it's been mentioned, it's been you, and it's been you saying negative things. And all of a sudden, here's your opportunity, bro. Here it is. And, Inoue wants that fight. And there's not just this coming fight, Mr. BDA. Mm-hmm. Fulton will never make in his entire fucking career, I don't give a shit about the last 10, 15 more years, will never earn the payday he will make if he goes to Japan and fights him. It just won't, because he'll never have that kind of support here in the United States that Inoue has in Japan. And I know I see a lot of people, well, it have to happen here. Why would it happen here? His last fight against Figueroa, right, was a decent fucking, matchup. A lot of people actually, including Doug Fisher, thought he lost. Then he has like a 30% knockout ratio. He doesn't have much power either, Fulton, but he is very skilled, and he's got a high ring IQ. But, Anyway's got lightning quick hands. He can punch like a fucking mule. He's got high ring IQ too. And to be honest with you, dude, why else would you? Why else would you go and make? And he only made $500,000 guaranteed for Figueroa, and I think it peaked at 212,000 on a subscription company that has 35 million subscribers. So please, he's not doing nothing here in the States. He's a great fighter, probably one of the best PBC has, but he doesn't pull numbers. And he doesn't pull big gates, doesn't pull big paydays. That could all be gone. Go fight Inoue. Back up your words. Get on a plane. Go to Japan. You'll be treated like a rock star there. You would probably be blown away by just the cameras in his face and just like the whole pageantry of the whole thing. Or go fight Figueroa again in some obscure side room in Vegas. It's just obviously common sense says fight Inoue, but he's not gonna, and it just sucks.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Hey, maybe we got a surprise this year, and it does happen. But it's the PBC. Listen, we'll see what happens with the PBC in 2023. They don't seem to have that many dates lined up right now. They seem to be scrambling. We'll see what happens, man. Cross your fingers is all I can say. But we do have a lot of good things. We had some good things in 2022, and hopefully they carry on to 2023. And these guys start realizing that they need to fight, they need to stay active, they need to build a buzz, and they can't rely on these TV dates all that much. Something needs to change for these fighters, and they're too dependent on the TV dates. And again, I think some guys are starting to look at the guys that do make the big fights, and they're thinking, man, I want to get a piece of that. I want the respect and the adulation, and I want to fight in front of 10,000, 15,000 fans. You're not going to get that by fighting bums and has-beens. I'll say that much. So, fellas, thanks again so much for being on. Give a big shout out to Gonzalo, Chief, who was here earlier as well, the Jim Marino, everybody that called in, everybody that donated with the super chat. Shout out to you, fellas. I hear the rumor is Butcher's going to be doing a open lines Friday, although it doesn't even necessarily have to be Friday. It could be open lines Wednesday, Thursday, whatever. But he's planning on doing one because we did talk about doing one of those shows before the end of 2022. We haven't done one in a while, and we owe it to the public to do that. So stay tuned for that. Keep watching the community section or the Discord if you're part of it to see when that happens. If you haven't joined the Discord, join it now. Join it now. I mean right now. Drop everything you're doing, even if you got your grandmother in your arms or whatever. Drop her. Click the link. Click the like, of course, as always. Subscribe. You can check us out on Spotify, Spreaker, iTunes, the whole shebang. And that's about it, man. Again, shout out to everybody that called in, everybody that donated the super chat, everybody in the chat as well. Can't forget you, fellas. Thanks again for supporting us and listening to us. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Hope you guys enjoyed the year of boxing and some of the entertainment we provided. We'll be back in 2023 if we don't do another show. Although I do think, listen, there's still about, how many weeks are there before the end of the year? This week and another, 2 weeks. Well, a week and a half. Yeah, we'll come back with something. I'll cook up something. I'll pull up some, chop up some onions, a little garlic, a little gabagoo. It's gonna be good. Trust me. All right, listen, fellas. Thanks again for joining us. Really appreciate it. Shout out to Bacon and Eggs, The Truth Hurts, Alejandro Solis, the Chitlin Distributor, Pound for Pound King, Rafael Garcia in the house. Shout out to Rafael. Knockout Nate in there, Eparokua, Impala, The Truth Hurts, Sergeant C, USMC. Who else was here? Mark Lagunas, Cool Boy Curry, Bray, Joseph Bono, Dennis F from Boston, Never Sober, of course, KG, some random Rap Extracting Company. And if I forgot anybody, fellas, it's because we gotta go. But shout out to you, fellas. You know who you are. Thanks for the support. Hope you enjoyed the show. Catch you in the next one, fellas. Take it easy.